Assalomu alaykum. Assalomu alaykum hurmatli tadbir ishtirokchilari, hurmatli mehmonlarimiz. Demak, bugun tadbirimizni ikkinchi kunini boshlaymiz. Mana Annika xonim bizda bugungi kun tartibini ko'rsatib qo'ydilar. Kun tartibini ishimizni boshlashimizdan oldin demak qisqacha to'xtalib o'tadigan bo'lsak, kecha biz qo'shma dasturlar haqida umumiy tushunchalar va ularning huquqiy asoslari hamda dastur ishlab chiqishda nimalarga e'tibor berishimiz kerakligi haqida to'liq ma'lumot oldik va o'zlarining tajribalari bilan bizda mahalliy oliy ta'lim muassasalaridan Azizjon aka tushuntirib berdilar va savol javoblar bilan kecha biz o'z ishimizni yakunlagan edik. Demak, bugungi yig'ilishimizda asosiy maqsad qanday qilib bizni mana shu qo'shma dasturlarni ishlab chiqishimiz kerak va nimalarga ahamiyat berishimiz kerak, qanday muammolar bo'lishi mumkin va u muammolarni bartaraf etish yo'llari va bu qo'shma dastur amalga oshirilgandan keyin uni boshqarish, sifat kafolati kabi masalalarni ko'rib chiqamiz. Kecha biz xabaringlar bor so'rovnoma qilgandik, ya'ni o'tgan kun qilingan ishlar haqida dan kelib chiqib ishtirokchilarimizni baholarini o'rganib chiqdik va u yerda aksariyat ishtirokchilarimiz yaxshi baholagan hamda qo'shma dasturlarni shakllantirishda va ularni ijrosida yuzaga keladigan muammolar haqida ko'proq ma'lumot berish taqdimotchilarimizni shu haqida ko'proq ma'lumot berishlarini so'rashgan. Va shuni asosida bugungi yig'ilishimizni davom ettiramiz. E'tiboringlar uchun katta rahmat. Demak, so'zni Annika xonimga beramiz. Navbatdagi taqdimotni amalga oshirishlari uchun katta rahmat.
Thank you so much, and a very nice good morning to all of you again. Good morning, Uzbekistan. I can say it's early morning in Finland. As Kurakon said, we will continue today with the development that we started yesterday. Then moving on a little bit to management and running the program, marketing, and also the joint student administration, and then with the final topic of quality assurance, getting here also perspectives from the quality assurance inspectorate in Uzbekistan and also some European experiences. And the first hour will be dedicated now to program design, mobility and recognition, and with the finishing input then from also the ministry on recognition of joint programs. So we will start by looking at designing the program. And as you know here, joint programs are similar to any national programs. So this is really a crucial step in your whole development, that you look for needs in society, looking for what kind of competencies and knowledge is needed today and specifically in the future, so that you make your program relevant. And once you have designed, or once you have identified the needs, you start by setting the learning outcomes for the whole program. And then you have chosen, you know what your own expertise is, and then you choose your partners, which we discussed yesterday also, based on their complementing strengths to what you have yourself. And you start developing the integrated curricula with then the structure, of course, of basic studies and more advanced studies, and how much is compulsory, how much can be eligible, possibly internships if you have contacts to non-academic stakeholders in the partner countries. What kind of methodology will you use in the program? Importantly, of course, what kind of degree is awarded and what is possible in the different partner countries. Can you award a joint degree, or will it be a double degree? And of course, equally important is to think about what kind of students are you targeting with this program? So what should their background be, and where can you find them? What kind of promotional methods will you use to reach out to those students? Employability and further studies, this also connects then to also the recognition later on. And finally, funding. So how do you plan the whole program? This is, of course, the program design is the core business of the academics in your institutions. So they will really have to look at all this, but starting with the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes, of course, is something very closely linked again to the Bologna process. And I know also that in Uzbekistan, I remember I saw some projects linked to national qualification frameworks, but I introduced one report here, or kind of a reference by CEDEFOP, where this document describes how to base, or how to design a program based on learning outcomes in the form of knowledge and understanding, and applying that knowledge, making judgments, skills, and communication skills and learning skills. Another useful tool when designing programs can be also the subject-specific descriptions that have been developed within the tuning project. So this tuning project, again, if you look at the qualification framework project, is a kind of top-down approach where ministries have set learning outcomes, but tuning, on the other hand, is bottom-up. So here you have had academics from different subject fields meeting to jointly describe learning outcomes for a particular field. And this whole project is based on the idea of diversity and autonomy. So it's really professors, for instance, within, as you can see here, mathematics. If you check the website of tuning, you find different subject fields that have been described. So here the mathematics academics then from different countries have been sitting together and defining this in a bottom-up approach. So then moving from the content to mobility. And of course, first and foremost, mobility should be supporting also the learning pathway in a way that obviously you will have to look at what the student needs to learn first, and then second, and then third, and also based on the competencies at the partner institutions. And here we just present different possible models. So the first one here is kind of the easiest and most straightforward one, where all students move together, as you can see here, from one place to another throughout the program. And of course, this is very good for the cohesion of the group. It's the sense of belonging and community, and makes also this student group to feel socially strongly connected, socially and academically. It's then a clear program identity as well for the students, and administratively and logistically easier, because you know exactly where to go and which visas to prepare, and residence permits, etc. Another version here in the second model is where you have a common start somewhere, and then according to the specialization option, like we saw yesterday in the Marihe program, students would then choose to go to different partner institutions. And here, of course, you also have some kind of group cohesion because you start in the same place. And you can even foster this later on by, for instance, arranging a joint summer school or winter school. And this option might be more attractive to students because there are several specialization options. Of course, it's more diversified. It can also be, you can use this if you have limited capacity at one of the partner institutions, so they can only accept a certain number of students, then this can be a solution in such a case. And the final, or the third model here is this kind of menu catalog where students have wide freedom and can actually kind of choose courses from different partners. This is, of course, very difficult to administrate, and there is very little group cohesion in that respect. And I would like to add also that in addition to these three models here, of course, now in the pandemic times, you can also think about all kinds of other innovative possibilities of arranging the mobility. So you can have virtual mobility, and you can have staff offering courses virtually without students even having to move. So it's of course now a good time to also think about different, more innovative mobility options. Yes, only one case, again, to highlight, just show another example of the mobility models, is another master program in security computing. So this is actually the second mobility model, again with a specialization. You have Nordic countries, Estonia and France. And to show you the mobility model here, they all start in one country, and then they also have a summer school before they then divide students according to specialization to different countries in the beginning of the second year. So this is a master program again. And then for the final year, there is or the second term of the second year, there is a jointly supervised master thesis. And yes, so we are also today going to do a bit of a group work, but before that, I will talk briefly about recognition, and then, as you know, after the group work, we will continue also with the ministry input on recognition. The recognition issue is particularly important in joint study programs in order to guarantee that the student gets a formally recognized degree towards the end. And it's particularly important because many joint study programs could be also interdisciplinary, because when you want to create a new unique program, maybe it's something that you're not offering yourself, so it could be more interdisciplinary. And then sometimes the existing degree structures and recognition mechanisms are not yet flexible enough to adopt all these new programs. You can sometimes have specific national requirements related to access to the labor market in different countries. This is, in many countries, you have this for state and government positions. So you have a requirement of a specific structure or language requirement to access positions in government. The same goes for teaching proficiency and public schools, and quite often also for the health sector. And I want to demonstrate this with a case that we had also in Finland, actually. So it was two institutions developing a joint master in public health, which is then a regulated profession. And in Finland, there is a requirement of having, in that case, a bachelor degree within nursing or healthcare to access managerial positions in hospitals. So if these students wanted to stay on in Finland and work in Finland, and they were interested, for instance, in becoming managers in hospitals, they would have needed a bachelor degree in nursing. However, the UK has a more kind of flexible approach to the bachelor backgrounds. So they would have accepted a multitude of different bachelor level backgrounds in the admission of students to this program. So how do you solve this? This is a concrete example. So here you have two options. Either you accept only students with a bachelor degree in nursing or healthcare. If you have enough applicants, then your problems are solved. So you don't have to worry about informing students about any particular arrangements. But if you still want to keep that option of admitting students with different backgrounds at the bachelor level, you have to be very cautious about the information you provide to students. So you have to inform them that they will not be eligible for managerial professions in hospitals in Finland. So that's just the most important thing, is to inform students before they choose this study option, that they know what the possibilities are afterwards. So again, the importance of transparent information to students in the start. So that was just a concrete case of recognition. And now I thought we will have a brief recap or repetition from what we discussed yesterday, and then we will do a group discussion. So as you remember, we looked at the political background and drivers for the development of joint programs, and particularly the Bologna process, and also this need for the creation of flexible learning paths to answer future and global challenges that needs to be solved also in global collaboration with the combination of then academic strengths from different countries. We also said that we looked at the reasons why you should develop joint programs from student, staff, and institution perspectives. And two of the reasons is that this really provides comprehensive peer learning for staff, for everyone who's involved at all levels of the institution. And also it provides opportunity of internationalization of the local staff of the higher education institutions. And we said that the project team is very important. And finally, we discussed the legal framework and also institutional guidelines, and said that it's important that you know yourself before you start the negotiations with your partners. So now I propose that we do a group discussion of around 10 minutes. And is it so that Neo Kudrakon, you have this document also available in Uzbek? So normally what you use this table when you meet your partners, so that you can compare different perspectives of national systems and institutional guidelines. However, in this training course, we have now you, so it's only one nationality, but it's still good for you to discuss this with your colleagues. So try to discuss these questions, and also a little bit remembering what we talked about yesterday, because most of these topics we already touched upon yesterday. But maybe I will give the word to Kudrakon. Do you want to say something? Did you send this document before the course? So everyone should have it.
Albatta. Katta rahmat Anika xonim. Demak, bu materiallar barcha ishtirokchilarga yo'naltirilgan va hozir ham chat orqali mana shu materialni ikkita tilda, ingliz tilida va o'zbek tilida taqdim etdik. Hozir ham ochib ko'rishlari mumkin bo'ladi.
Yes, so then if I can ask our interpreter to make the groups, and then we will use 10 minutes for the discussion in groups.
Tushunarli.
Oh, I think how many people we have? Yeah, I think 4 groups is fine. 24, sorry, 5. Say 5 groups. 5 groups. 5 groups. Yeah. Yes.
Уважаемые участники, сейчас будет создано 5 групп. Мы вас в них в случайном порядке распределим автоматически. И, пожалуйста, докладчики, сотрудники национального офиса Erasmus+, плюс у вас тоже выйдет уведомление о создании групп, но вам не надо заходить. А всех остальных слушателей просим перейти по ссылке, которая появится у них на экране. Спасибо. У вас будет 10 минут. Iltimos, hamma qatnashchilar alohida xonaga kiringlar. Please. Asrorbek, Hamid aka, Abduval aka qatnashasizmi bironta guruhda?
Qo'shib qo'yaveringmi mayli?
Bo'ldi, chiqdi sizga 4-xonaga taklif qilingan. Po'latxon, Baychayev gruppalaringizga kiringlar. Abdumannap aka, Nasirov. I will broadcast the message that they have 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, you can also stop the breakout rooms in 10 minutes and kind of.
Well, just to give them a heads up.
Okay, yeah.
We have only one person joined breakout room 4. Po'latxon aka, I will make an announcement. Po'latxon aka.
Dada, men chiqib ketdim hozir. Men chiqib ketmadi, 4 ga kirishim kerakmi?
4 ga kirishingiz kerak, ha.
Yo'q, chiqib qanaqa kiray hozir yana?
Pastda 4 ta kattagili knopka bor Zoom oynasida. O'shani bossangiz. Topdingizmi? Okay, room 4 is empty actually. Bo'lmasa men sizni boshqa gruppaga nima qilaman? Aha, 5-guruhga qo'shdim. I am redistributing room 4 because there were no participant joins. I'm moving them to other groups. So we only have 4 now.
Yeah, that's no problem. But I still also see 15 participants in this big room.
This is what I warned you about.
Okay.
Abduvali aka, hali pustoy gruppaga tushib qolgan ekansiz. Hozir sizni boshqa odamlar bor gruppaga o'tkazib yubordim.
So I think after the group work, I will just ask people to write in the chat what was the most, what were the two things they were discussing most in the groups. Then we don't need to use Menti because we are a little bit running late in the time. Would that be okay? Kudrakon, you?
Yes, I have prepared the Menti with the word cloud. Annika?
Yes, I know. Yeah, I was just thinking maybe we can save a bit of time if we only ask people to write in the chat, or what do you think?
It's also an option, so we can ask them to write on the chat.
But Menti is actually faster, Annika.
Okay, let's have Menti, and even if you have, when you have prepared it, we can do that.
Okay.
And Kudratхон, please make sure that your Menti link includes HTTP colon and 2 forward slashes so that the link is clickable.
Okay.
Omadjon aka, Hamid aka, Javlonbek aka, Dilmurodjon aka. Вы здесь? Пройдите в свои группы. Okay, it looks like they have been distributed evenly now in the groups.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah,
But we only have 4.
Yeah, yes, that's no problem. And I think they have like 3 or 4 minutes left.
Should they report back when they come? Should they pick a rapporteur?
No, they don't have to because we are using that Menti,
Okay.
the Menti tool for the feedback.
Okay. You tell me when to close and it will take 1 minute countdown.
I went into one of the groups, so now I have to share again the screen to go back. Yeah, I think it's good to call everyone back now because it's already soon 1:45.
Okay, doing that right
Thank
away.
you. Yeah, thanks. So it might have been quite a short time to discuss, but let's hope they had a bit of time at least. So now I think we have pretty much everyone back. And I hope you enjoyed your discussions, even though it was probably quite short. I was going to ask you now to provide some quick feedback on the discussion by using, again, Menti. So I will give the word to Kudrakon and ask you to just write which topic you discussed most in the group. So Kudrakon, please, if you can share. Oh, the Menti link is here already.
Demak, mana shu link orqali kirib, keltirilgan kodni kiritib, o'z fikrlaringizni bildirishingizni iltimos qilamiz. Katta rahmat. Labay. Aha, hozir. Hozircha fikrlar jo'natishmadi. Ko'ramiz.
So it would be interesting to know which topic you discussed most. If you don't feel comfortable with Menti, you can also use chat.
Okay, we just logging in, then we will write our answer.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, so ECTS has been a number of courses. So maybe a little bit around the curricula and the structure of curricula. Okay, and subjects and hours and quality as well. And recognition, okay. Exactly, each joint program have different terms and conditions. Okay, so there are already some proposals of discussing quality. Thank you for this, and now I give the word to Mr. Solikov then from the ministry to continue with the recognition issues and provide a national national picture. And I'm sorry we have used a little bit more time than we planned, but there is still time in the schedule. So.
Hadi. Hozir. Boshlaymiz unda. Assalomu alaykum hurmatli seminar ishtirokchilari. Yana bir bor. Avvalambor yuqoridagi seminarlar uchun Anika xonimga rahmat aytamiz. Kechagi, bugungi yana davomida. Bugungi demak o'sha qo'shma ta'lim dasturlari tan olinishi, milliy qoidalar va muammolar tan olinishi albatta bizda tegishli yuqori darajadagi hujjatlar bilan bu qo'shma dasturlarni tashkil etish, yuritish tasdiqlangan. Kecha ham aytib o'tganmiz. Ikkita asosiy vakolatli organ hisoblangan. Demak, biz tomonidan tegishli davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasi yoki o'sha ikkita tashkilot, Oliy o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi va ta'lim sifati inspeksiyasi asosiy faoliyat oliy ta'lim muassasalari olib borgandan keyin o'zaro shartnomalar, kelishuv memorandumlar, shartnomalarida aniq qoidalar ko'rsatib qo'yiladi. Ya'ni ikki tomonni majburiyatlari va shu majburiyatlar asosida bular faoliyatini olib boradi. Ikkinchi tomoni bizda o'sha boshlang'ich qabul qilish jarayonida oliy ta'lim muassasasi bilan talaba, ya'ni o'sha abituriyent talaba bo'lgandan keyin o'zaro shartnoma tuzadi. Shartnoma bu o'sha oliy ta'lim muassasalarida talabalarni bajarish kerak bo'lgan mas'uliyatlarni ko'rsatib qo'yiladi. Bu yerda demak kontrakt summalari, o'qish davrining ikkita davlatda tashkil etilishi, O'zbekistondagi oliy ta'lim muassasasi va xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasasida va uning muddatlari qancha muddatga va qaysi muddatlarda semestrlar misolida yoki o'quv yillari misolida keltiriladi va aniq o'sha o'quv jarayoni, qabul jarayoni boshlanishidan oldin bu narsalar hammasi aniq ko'rsatilgan. Qabul rejalarini, ya'ni kvotalar deymiz, kvotalarni Oliy o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi va bizda oliy ta'lim muassasalari boshqa tegishli vazirlik idoralari bilan o'zi qaysi vazirlik idoralarining tasarrufida bo'lsa, o'sha vazirlik idoralari bilan kelishgan holda rektor tomonidan tasdiqlanadi. Bu jarayonda kontrakt summalari turlicha bo'lishi mumkin. Masalan, O'zbekistondagi oliy ta'lim muassasalarida kontrakt summa, o'quv yiliga belgilangan summa miqdori boshqacha, xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'quv yiliga belgilangan summa, kontrakt summasi miqdori boshqacha ko'rinishda bo'lishi mumkin. Bu albatta ikkita oliy ta'lim muassasasini kelishuv asosida aks etadi. Va ikkinchisi, bizdagi O'zbekistonda o'qish davrida ham masalan 3+1 bo'ladigan bo'lsa, 3 yillik davomida xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasalaridan professor o'qituvchilarni o'sha hamkor oliy ta'lim muassasasidan professor o'qituvchilarni jalb qilgan holda o'quv jarayoni ham tashkil etilishi boshlang'ich kelishuvlarga, o'sha o'zaro kelishuvlar aks etadi. Bu kelishuvlar asosiy ularni shu faoliyat, qo'shma dastur faoliyatini yurituvchi asosiy hujjat hisoblanadi. Bu hujjatga demak ikkita oliy ta'lim muassasasi ham, talaba ham rioya qilish kerak. Va mana shu hujjatga rioya qilinmagan holatlarda bu o'zaro kelishuvlar o'zgaradigan bo'lsa, demak qo'shma dasturlari qaysi jihatdan bekor bo'lishi, bunday holat bo'ldi. Masalan, 2020-yilda Ipak yo'li turizm universiteti bor Samarqand shahrida. Chexiya oliy maktabi bilan shu o'zaro kelishuv buzilgandan keyin talabalarni boshqa o'z arizalariga ko'ra boshqa yo'nalishlarga ko'chirib o'tkazish holati kuzatildi. Bunday muammolar ham uchrab turibdi. Albatta bu o'sha muammolarni oldini olish uchun oldindan o'zaro kelishuvlar juda ham mustahkam bo'lishi kerak. va aniq bo'lishi kerak. Reja demak, talabani biz qabul qilyapmizmi, uni bitirib ketguncha yo'llari aniq ko'rsatilgan bo'lishi va manzilga yetib borish uchun nimalarni bajarish kerakligi va qanday majburiyatlarni bajarish va nimalar talab qilish kerakligi haqida to'liq aks etgan bo'lishi kerak bu shartnomalarda. Va keyingi masala bizda qo'shma ta'lim dasturlari to'lov shartnoma asosida amalga oshiriladi. O'qiyotganlar bu yerda davlat granti yoki davlat hisobidan o'qitish tashkil etilmaydi. Faqat to'lov shartnoma asosida tashkil etiladi va oliy ta'lim muassasalarida mana shu tashkil etilgan qo'shma dasturlarning faoliyatini yuritish, ularni muvofiqlashtirib boruvchi tuzilma yoki bo'linma desak, bo'linmalar o'sha qo'shma dasturlar doirasida, ya'ni bunday byudjet mablag'lari deymiz, byudjetdan tashqari mablag' hisobiga shtatlar asosida tashkil etiladi va bu tashkil etilgan bo'linmalar shu oliy ta'lim muassasasini da faoliyat yuritayotgan qo'shma dasturlarning faoliyatini muvofiqlashtirib boradi. Va bundan tashqari biz oliy o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligida alohida bo'lim bor. Xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasalari filiallari va qo'shma ta'lim dasturlari va talabalar, xorijiy talabalar bilan ishlash bo'limi. Bu bo'lim doimiy o'sha bularning faoliyatini o'rganib, jarayonni muvofiqlashtirib, ular tomonidan tushgan murojaatlar yoki talabalar tomonidan tushgan murojaatlarni o'rganadi va tegishli ko'rsatmalar berib boradi. Ikkinchi tomondan ularni sifat jihatdan doimiy ravishda ta'lim sifati inspeksiyasi nazorat qilib boradi va deyarli har yili o'sha ularga yaratilgan sharoitlar, oliy ta'lim muassasasining moddiy-texnik bazasi, xorijdan kelayotgan professor o'qituvchilarning salohiyati yoki bizdan o'sha xorijiy qo'shma dastur dars berayotgan o'qituvchilarning salohiyati va eng asosiysi shu o'quv jarayoni qaysi tilda tashkil etilganligi holati bo'yicha va o'sha qo'shma dasturga qabul qilingan talabalarni keyinchalik xorijiy o'sha hamkor oliy ta'lim muassasasiga borganda o'sha tilda dars tinglay oladimi, ko'nikmasi bormi, tilni bilish darajasi bormi, hatto shu ko'rsatkichlargacha biz doimiy inspeksiya bilan muvofiqlashtirib aniqlik kiritib boramiz. Bugungi kun oxirgi o'sha o'tgan 2 yilda qabulni ko'radigan bo'lsa, ochig'i bu yerda muammolar yetarli. Sababi bizda qo'shma dasturlarga asosiy davlat oliy ta'lim muassasalari qabul jarayonlari tugagandan keyin bo'ladi va hammaga ma'lumki, bu yerda o'sha asosiy davlat oliy ta'lim muassasalariga kira olmagan abituriyentlar hisobidan ko'p hollarda shakllanib qoladi bu guruh. Shu sababli biz hozir harakat qilyapmizki, qo'shma dasturlarga albatta rektorlarning o'zlarining murojaatlari asosida asosiy qabul jarayonlari boshlanmasdan oldin yoki o'sha davrda bir vaqtda qabulni amalga oshirishdi, kechiktirmasdan. Bunda demak biz o'ylagan o'sha xohishi yuqori bo'lgan va o'sha til bilish darajasi yuqori bo'lgan talabalarni, ya'ni abituriyentlarni qabul qilish imkoniyati yana ham oshadi. Ikkinchi tomondan bu yerda xohlaymizmi yo'qmi bitta muammoga duch kelamiz. Doimiy buni oliy ta'lim muassasalari juda ham yaxshi biladi. Qo'shma dasturlarda to'lov kontrakt miqdori biroz balandroq, qimmatroq. Shu sababli agarda abituriyent ikkita oliy ta'lim muassasasiga bir vaqtda topshirib, agar davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasiga kirib ketadigan bo'lsa, u bu oliy ta'lim muassasasini tanlaydi ko'p hollarda. Chunki iqtisodiy tomondan bu ularga foyda. Masalan, davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasida 7 million, 8 million to'lov shartnoma bo'ladigan bo'lsa, qo'shma dasturda ulardan kamida 2 barobar ko'p yoki 3 barobar ko'p. U xorijga boradigan davrda undan ham ko'p kontrakt to'lashi mumkin va bularning hammasi hisobga olinadi. Ikkinchi tomoni boya boshida ham hazratomuz gapirib o'tdim, bizda qo'shma dasturlarga o'qishga qabul qilinayotgan xotin-qizlarning asosiy qismi o'sha xorijga boradigan davr yaqinlashganda arizalar bilan murojaat qilib boshlaydi. Ya'ni o'sha bormaslik yoki o'zimizda oliy ta'lim muassasalariga ko'chirish masalalarida, lekin bizda me'yoriy hujjat aniq yozib qo'yilgan. Qo'shma ta'lim dasturlariga qabul qilingan va bunda o'qiyotgan talabalar davlat oliy ta'lim muassasalariga ko'chirilmaydi. Ya'ni bu Vazirlar Mahkamasi 390-sonli qarori bor. Ularni ko'chirish faqatgina davlat komissiyasining vakolatida. Bu oliy ta'lim muassasasining ham yoki Oliy o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi yoki tegishli vazir idoralarining ham vakolatiga kirmaydi. Faqat davlat komissiyasi Vazirlar Mahkamasidan demak bu ruxsat berilishi mumkin. Bu juda ham kamdan kam bo'lardi. Ikkinchisi mana shu qo'shma dasturlarni o'zini ichida ko'chirib o'tkazish imkoniyati bor. Bu vakolat berilgan, albatta qo'shma dasturni mos bo'ladigan bo'lsa, albatta xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasasi, hamkor oliy ta'lim muassasasining ham roziligini olgan holda buni demak talabalar bir yo'nalishdan ikkinchi yo'nalishga ma'lum bir semestr orasida yoki kurs orasida ko'chirib o'qishini ko'chirish imkoniyati bor. Bu o'zaro oliy ta'lim muassasalarining kelishuvi, roziligi asosida amalga oshiriladi. Shu bilan birga yana bitta narsani alohida aytib o'tishimiz kerakki, qoidalarda shu narsa ayon bo'lyaptiki, o'sha oliy ta'lim muassasalari boshlang'ich o'zaro shartnomalarni mukammal yaratilmaganligi asosida keyinchalik ko'p muammolar kelib chiqyapti va bu yerda biz to'liq imkoniyat oliy ta'lim muassasalarini o'ziga vakolat berilgan, o'zini o'sha o'zaro shartnomalariga qo'shimcha o'zgartirish kiritish yoki qo'shimcha bandlarni kiritish mumkin, lekin bunda albatta o'sha qabul qilingan talabalar xabardor bo'lishi kerak. Shunday holatlar bo'lyaptiki, oliy ta'lim muassasalari o'zaro kelishuvlarga o'zgartirish kirityapti. Bundan qabul qilingan, shu vaqtgacha qabul o'qiyotgan talabalar xabardor bo'lmasdan keyin e'tirozlar kelib chiqyapti. Mana shu demak bizning o'sha oldimizdagi bir qancha muammolarni keltirib chiqadi, e'tirozlar, ya'ni talabalarning, ya'ni fuqarolarning e'tirozlariga sabab bo'ladi. Bu jarayonlar ham vaqt o'tishi bilan mana bu bizda endi mana 18-yil boshlangan bo'lsa, muammolar chiqib kelyapti. Muammolarni yechim bo'yicha oliy ta'lim muassasalari, vazirlik idoralar ishlayapti va tegishli me'yoriy hujjatlarni amalga oshirishga harakat qilinyapti. Kecha aytib o'tganimdek, mana bu Vazirlar Mahkamasi agar qarori demak bosh vazir tomonidan tasdiqlab berilsa, xudo xolasa bu qaror tasdiqlangandan keyin qo'shma dasturlarda faoliyati to'liq me'yoriy hujjat asosida shakllanib bo'ladi va o'shanda biz oliy ta'lim muassasalarini ham Oliy o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi, zarurat ta'lim sifati inspeksiyasi ham ko'pgina bu yerda o'sha turli muammolardan qutuladi va aniq me'yoriy hujjatlar asosida qabuldan to diplom berguncha bo'lgan jarayonlar to'liq shakllanib nazoratga olingan va me'yoriy hujjatlar asoslangan qoidalar asosida amalga oshiriladi. Agarda bu yerda oliy ta'lim muassasalari o'zaro kelishuvlarni mukammal qilmas ekan, bu muammolardan biz qutula olmaymiz. Endi ikkinchi tomoni, bu qo'shma dasturlarni to'liq nazoratini vazirlik yoki inspeksiya yoki yuqori tashkilotga olish ham unchalik to'g'ri bo'lmaydi, chunki xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasalarini talablar turlicha, yo'nalishlar bo'yicha hattoki turlicha talablar belgilangan. Bu o'zaro demak oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'zaro kelishuv asosida amalga oshirilishi maqsadga muvofiq bu jarayon ketyapti. Yuqori biz nimani amalga oshirish mexanizmlarini yuqori vazirlik idoralariga bersak, bu jarayon yana ham murakkablashib ketadi, qiyinlashib ketadi. Shuning uchun biz buni imkon darajasi osonlashtirish uchun oliy ta'lim muassasalari o'zlariga berilyapti. Ikkinchisi, kecha o'quv rejalari bo'yicha aytib o'tdim. Bu yerda imkon darajasida o'quv rejalarini ham o'sha optimal holatda shakllantirish kerak. Bizda ko'p hollarda mana shu yerda ham muammolar kelib chiqyapti. Bu jarayonda diplomlarni ikki tomon ham diplom beradigan bo'lsa, albatta o'z talablarini qo'yadi ular. Diplomini berish talablari bor ikkita davlatda ham. Mana shu talablarni eng optimal variantini shakllantirgan holda eng asosiysi talabaga ham jabr bo'lmaydigan variantdagi o'quv rejalarini shakllantirish va o'quv muddatlarini, ya'ni semestr muddatlari deymiz, yoki umumiy o'quv yilini o'zgarmasin, semestr muddatlarini aniq nimalarga qo'ygan holda shakllantirish, ya'ni ko'payib ketish kerak emas. Talaba demak bugungi kunda bizda mana kredit modul tizimida 15 haftadan 30 hafta bo'ladigan bo'lsa o'quv yili. aynan o'quv jarayoniga ajratilgan. Demak, bu qo'shma dasturlarda ham mana shu atrofda o'ynash kerak bu narsa. Ya'ni 15 hafta oddiy o'quv jarayoni o'zimizda 15 hafta bo'ladigan bo'lsa, bularda 18-20 haftaga chiqib ketish kerak emas. Mana shu hammasini hisobga olib, buni takomillashtirib borish kerak. Muammolar hozircha hammada yetarli, buni oliy ta'lim muassasalari ham juda yaxshi biladi. Keyin bitta masala borki, ko'pgina oliy ta'lim muassasalari bizga murojaat qiladi. Masalan, men o'zim ham ochiq ko'p hozirda boshim qotib qoladi shu narsaga va biz o'sha optimal javob berishga harakat qilamiz, mumkin emas degan. Balki mumkindir bu. Endi buni albatta ekspertlar xulosalarini berar. Masalan, oliy ta'lim muassasasining profili bo'lmagan ta'lim yo'nalishida qo'shma dasturda kadr tayyorlaymiz degan taklif bilan chiqadi. Vaholanki buni tagini ko'tarsak, o'sha oliy ta'lim muassasasida bizdagi, albatta xorijiy hamkor oliy ta'lim muassasasida bu yo'nalishlar bor, lekin bizdagida yo'q. Mutaxassis fanlardan O'zbekistonda dars beradigan professor o'qituvchilar o'sha oliy ta'lim muassasalarida mavjud bo'lmaydi. Mana bunday holatlar ham uchrayapti. Bu ham ayrim vaqtlarda o'zimizda oliy ta'lim muassasalarini qanaqadir noroziliklariga olib kelyapti, lekin o'sha bu yerda pozitsiya bo'lishi kerak, ya'niki biz qo'shma dasturda kadrlar tayyorlash kerak ekan deb turli variantlarni, ya'ni samarasiz variantlarni qo'llashimiz kerak emas. Agar mana shunday holatlar bo'lsa, qanaqa fikr beradi ekspertlarimiz? Nima qilish kerak? Balkim bu narsani yechimi bordir. Yechimi. Menda umumiy mana shu, endi hozir keyingi nimada Asliddin akaning ham ma'ruzalari bor ekan. Asliddin aka ham batafsil sifat nima tomondan ko'rsatib o'tadi. Albatta biladi, hamma muammolardan xabari bor. Agar savollar, nima qo'shimcha nimalar bo'lsa, marhamat. Rahmat.
Katta rahmat Abduvali aka. Annika xonim nima deydilar? Balki savollarni keyinga qoldiramizmi yoki bir nechta savol qabul qilamizmi?
Men lekin savolga vaqt qoldirdim.
I think if Mr. Ksolikov is still here, also later today we can take all the quality, because many of the questions you raised are actually related to quality and also to the agreement, to the solidity of the agreements, if that's okay.
Katta rahmat Abduvali aka bizni bilan birga bo'lganingiz uchun. Demak,
Yeah.
hozir 15
Yes, so
tanaffus e'lon qilamiz. Nima deysiz Annika xonim?
yes, that's perfectly fine. So, or shall we come back 5 past? Oh, sorry, quarter past. Yes, I think that should be fine. Huh?
Okay.
Yaxshi, ko'fi berishdi unda.
Yaxshi, katta rahmat. Demak,
Yes, let's call it a tea break.
11:15 barchani yana
Yes.
aktiv bo'lishlarini so'raymiz. Linkdan, ya'ni Zoomdan chiqib ketmasdan
Okay.
aloqada bo'lib turishlarini iltimos qilamiz va 11:15 hammani yana faol shaklda ko'rishni umid qilamiz. Katta rahmat. Demak, tanaffusga.
Rahmat.
Assalomu alaykum. Barcha ishtirokchilarga yana bir bor. Demak, kelishganimizdek 11:15 da boshlaymiz. Navbatdagi so'z yana Anika xonimga. Demak, qo'shma dastur boshqaruvi, moliya, marketing, qo'shma talabalar bilan ishlash mavzusida demak taqdimot qiladilar.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the brief break. I think now for the coming 45 minutes, we are now going to look more closely into the management issues, looking also at the agreement template that I mentioned yesterday. And we already discussed some of the elements to include in the agreement during the case example yesterday. Then we have the input from Mr. Odilo from the State Inspectorate about quality assurance. And I think we should leave also plenty of time for questions. So I will try to be a bit short now with the presentation also. So starting with the management of joint programs, there is again no predefined model. So the recommendation is mainly that you should avoid developing new management structures or creating new committees for everything related to the joint program. So it's better to try to integrate the administration of the joint program as much as possible in your normal student administration. And it will be, of course, a combination of normal student administration and then also international office, let's say, then management of international students and international student exchange. But we talked about the importance of the team that is working around the joint program, and many times it's also important to really, because of, let's say, also psychological reasons, to involve the local actors so that they don't feel that the joint program is something elitist and only a few people in the institution are involved and all that, so that they can all feel that they are part of that experience. So when it comes to student administration, so again, we looked at the program design earlier on, so that follows the same pattern actually as in traditional national programs to a large extent. And here, again, it's a little bit the same. So what you need to look at when you start planning and discussing with your partners is really to look at the whole cycle of where is the student going from the beginning of the program until the end, and discuss all those different steps together with your partners. So the first step you have once you have designed the program is that you start the promotion to students. So think about what are the optimal channels, how can you reach the students that you have in mind, and what are the means for reaching the good students. What kind of student services will you provide especially to the international students, to the ones that are mobile? And what is your approach towards student assessment? Here, it's also important to allow academics to discuss and compare a little bit different assessment cultures and learn from each other. The degree awarding jointly, so really concrete issues like who is printing, who is actually printing the degree, and how do you get the signatures? How does the student receive the diploma in the end if he is in another country, or so all kinds of practical issues related to degree awarding. And of course, then the recognition of that degree and access to further studies or access to the labor market. So joint arrangements, then I mentioned that they should only be, you should only create bodies for the arrangements that you need to have jointly. So that would of course mean that you need somebody, some academic body to be responsible for developing an academic, developing and monitoring the academic content of the program. So the kind of content related quality assurance. Also if you have a joint student admission, then you need a joint academic body for that as well. And for the quality assurance, so what kind of feedback are you going to ask for from students and staff and employers? The financial administration will probably need also some joint discussion between the financial departments in the different partner universities, and also the joint promotion of the program, recruitment, and then also some external representation of your joint program. And here I was going now to show, we can have a look at the template. Was that also something that was sent out beforehand, Kudrakon? I cannot. Did you send out also the template? Yes.
Albatta, u materiallar barchaga yuborilgan.
Yeah, okay.
Va ular mana chatda ham berilgan. O'zbek tiliga tarjimasi ham bor.
Yes, so we already have, yesterday we had a checklist by Tashkent University of Economics based on what they had done in very practical terms. So here is another checklist. So first of all, what you should cover is, of course, the purpose and the scope of the agreement. So what is it for and for how long? The legal framework and the national qualifications. So this is important, and it also links to of course, the awarded degree and the diploma. So which degrees are involved in the joint programs? The structure and organization of the cooperation. So again, the management bodies, who is responsible for student admission, for quality assurance, for monitoring the content, and also for keeping archives, for lots of things related to quality assurance. Of course, the program structure, learning outcomes, curriculum mobility, and who is providing which part of that structure, as we mentioned yesterday. The student selection and admission and enrollment. So the enrollment part is also important to discuss with your partners, because most universities have some kind of requirement of enrollment if they're going to award a degree, but this is also different from one country to another. But it's something that you need to check beforehand. Transfer of credits, of course, examination, degree awarding, and diploma. And here, actually, the recommendation is that you already in the agreement, you have this template in annex. So what will the student receive? We discussed this yesterday, and I think it's a very important quality-related issue that you already, when you start signing the agreements, you know what the degree will look like, and actually the diploma issued from both institutions. Financial arrangements, renewal and termination. And also, this is quite important also in terms of dispute resolution. You mentioned before the break that sometimes institutions come and there is problem. So it's good to already in the agreement phase write down which law, the law of which country to apply when there is a problem, when a student will come with a complaint. So this is kind of forward-looking already. Let me just take my phone for the time. Yes, so going back to the management then, the joint student admission is also very crucial in relation to recognition and to quality. And I remember that also the ministry representative mentioned that you have a very flexible approach to joint programs and you allow autonomy for the institutions, which I think it's a very good sign. But it also requires the institutions to take a lot of responsibility to check that the admission criteria are in line with the national criteria as well, because if they issue a degree, there should be alignment with the national admission criteria. Yes, and here you can have different agreements with your partner. Sometimes one partner does the pre-selection, sometimes you do it together, but at least the final selection is of course good if you are going to accept students to your institution from a partner institution. You need to be able to know that they have high quality enough. So you have the right to be involved in that admission process, or at least have a transparent look into how your partner institution is selecting the students, so that you get students that can then progress in their studies. And again here, yeah, agreement on how to manage then the possible complaints. Yeah, there is just something on division of tasks. This is, as I said, you can agree on this, but sometimes you have this. This is maybe typical for the Erasmus Mundus programs, where you have a coordinating institution that receives all the applications and prepares the selection and also sends acceptance letters and kind of coordinates the financial management. And then in this case, the partner institution is usually in charge of this local enrollment of students and taking care of visas, accommodation, and transfer of marks for the students coming to that particular university. Yeah, and then, well, obviously there is the management board, and in at least in the Erasmus Mundus courses, it's also always student representatives included in these boards. And you can then have a different board for the admission and, for instance, also for the exams or for the master thesis, and then local teams, local committees in the partner universities. Yeah, and I think we discussed this a little bit already yesterday, but the importance of including a wide amount of colleagues from the local partners. So the formal approval, of course, the faculty board and student administration. I think we listed this also yesterday: finances, international office, housing, language centers, etc. And it is recommended when discussing or talking about financial management to calculate your income and expenditure based on a full cost model, so that you know how much you're using. You have an overview of the budget. So your income then would be, of course, the tuition fees. Somehow you divide it with your partners, or you decide in the agreement how you're dividing them, and you have the government support in different forms, scholarships, project funding. You can have sponsoring, of course, from private sector, from alumni. And the expenses, again, that you normally have are staff and indirect costs, meetings, the student mobility, of course. And here you can use also the Erasmus Plus student mobility scholarships for the mobility, and also for staff mobility, of course. And finally, we also have the promotion to students that was mentioned yesterday in the case, that there is kind of, relatively speaking, higher administration costs, but less marketing budget. but there has been lots of alumni surveys among, for instance, this Nordic Master Program and the Erasmus Mundus, and these surveys show very strong satisfaction. And yesterday I also mentioned the Redeem project that showed that alumni from joint programs actually have access higher salary positions when they graduate as compared to national graduates from national programs. So some of the core messages when you promote joint programs to students would be that you have this kind of specially designed international learning path with, of course, then the automatic recognition of the international components. And that by offering this specially designed program, the student have particular competencies that they achieve that are very attractive in the global labor market or in the national labor market. You have also, this is a very good way of combining strengths of different partner institutions, different countries. You have this joint curricula. Also with the mobility and this double degree or joint degree also explain to the student. So what does it mean? What does it look like? What does the diploma look like? So these would be part of the messages to the students. And in terms of practical tools, it's of course quite similar to also other tools that you use in your student promotion. But here it could be very important to involve the marketing departments of all your partner institutions, so that it's not only the responsibility of the academic department that is running that particular program, but actually it's also the normal marketing department that takes care of national marketing that then markets all the international programs as well. And of course, you would use then your partner institutions in different countries as recruitment channels. But the main instrument is always the program website still. And again, there was also another tool in the materials for the course where you can kind of check that you have all the information you need on your website in a joint program. And of course, alumni testimonials are very important as well. So now I was going to propose again, we should have now time also for discussion, because I think it seems to me, sorry, this is something I did not plan initially, sorry, Kudrakon, and I hope our interpreter can accept to again do the group division, because it feels to me that you have a lot that you have lots of questions and obstacles that it could be very useful to discuss among the participants, because you have experience in joint programs. So I propose that you discuss again now how you have arranged teaching and mobility in your own programs, and what measures have you taken to attract the good students. So can I kindly ask the interpreter to make the groups again?
Katta rahmat.
Yes,
Jahongirga
please.
iltimos qilamiz guruhlarga bo'lishni va demak ikkita savolni
And then we should get back 45 at the latest, and then we have time for the quality assurance.
demak ikkita savolni muhokama qilishimiz kerak ekan. Bu mana shu qo'shma dasturlarda ta'lim berish va mobillikni biz qanday qilib amalga oshiramiz, va ikkinchi savolimiz talabalarni jalb etish masalasi ko'tarilgan ekan. Demak, 11:45 gacha mana shu masalalarni muhokama qilib, keyin yana umumiy guruhga qaytamiz. Katta rahmat. Jahongir aka, sizdan iltimos mana shu guruhlarga bo'lib bersangiz. Rahmat. Barcha ishtirokchilardan faol bo'lib, mana shu ekranda chiqqanda o'z guruhlariga qo'shilishlarini iltimos qilamiz va muhokamadan so'ng biz sizlarning fikringizni albatta so'raymiz. Katta rahmat.
Kurakon, I am wondering if you could have time to prepare a Menti for the feedback, or is it?
Yes, there is one question with word cloud, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I know, but I actually skipped that one and I put this instead. I'm sorry, I always do this, but I felt that I wanted more group discussion, because when I went into one of the groups, they seemed to be very active. So I have not prepared this before, but is it complicated to do a Menti with these two questions with word?
I will do it. So what type of the answers would you like to see?
Yeah, the thing is, it's a little bit difficult. Maybe I will just ask some of the groups to report randomly. I think I will do that.
Okay, some of them will.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think it's difficult to ask them to write word clouds, because these are more specific questions.
Okay, we will listen to
For the second question, a good Menti would be, is student quality a challenge? Yes, no.
Or word cloud. I can make this for the second question. Just
and the second question, I can also ask if somebody has managed to attract good students. So how did they do it? What channels did they use? Maybe I can do that as well.
The best practices, yeah, you mean?
Yeah.
Possible. And we can make a Menti as well for the second question too.
Yeah, but we should also leave some time for the state inspectorate. I somehow this today is going very quickly. I didn't realize. Yesterday we had so much. I felt we had more time yesterday.
Okay, I have prepared the second question for the Menti. If it is needed, so just let me know. We can announce it.
Yes. Yeah. So I think this time they went into groups more quickly than last time, huh?
Yes, they became more active.
Yeah. So I think we will have to push the final break a little bit forward, but maybe, I mean, it's no problem for me at least. But Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we have actually in the program, we have indicated a break from 9 to 9:15. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. No, you're right. Yeah, maybe we can even skip it.
We can skip, definitely. No
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because we have still a lot of different speakers here now, so it will not be too boring. So I think when they come back now in 3 minutes, if Kurakon, if you can do the Menti, and then I ask afterwards if somebody has a good example of attracting good students. Let's see what is the outcome.
Menti, I have prepared for the second question.
Yes, for the second, yeah.
For the first, are we going to listen to the group opinions? Or not?
Yes, we should ask at least one group to report. But
Okay.
it's a very broad question as well. So
should we start from the second question?
I thought so that
Okay.
For the first question, it's good. There is also always a lot of added value just in when they discuss with each other. They can get some ideas.
So good. So I will send the link and the code for the second question.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Perfect. Thank you.
Can you see it?
Sorry, I should. Did you share it in?
No, not yet. Now I have sent it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. People are going back.
Okay. Yes, I can see we have 43. Maybe wait for a few more. Oh, they are okay. Perfect. So we can continue, and I hope you enjoyed your discussions and on the teaching arrangements and mobility. And we had a question now prepared in Menti, so you can see the link in the chat, and that is about whether you find it challenging to attract good students. So if I can ask you to go into that link and just quickly do a vote with yes and no.
Kechirasiz, bu ha yo'q emas, balki qanday yo'llar bilan
Oh,
so'zlar.
sorry. All right. Sorry. I thought it was, yeah. So if I cannot,
To'xtashaman ekranni.
will you share? Yeah. Oh, it was the open question. Yeah. So actually, while we are waiting for these results on Menti, I also thought I wanted to ask somebody if you have good experiences of attracting students, if you want to share some experiences with the others, something that you discussed in the groups. Let's ask, for instance, group number 2. What did you discuss? Did you have any particular good experiences to share?
Group 2 in session room number 2, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, can I tell shortly?
Sure.
I will speak in Uzbek. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Bizda yaxshi talabalarni jalb qilish qo'shma dasturlarga shu masalada savol bor. Endi bu bizda abituriyentlar bo'ladi, talaba bo'lguncha yaxshi, bilimli, iqtidorli, layoqati bor. Biz harakat qilamiz, har bir dastur bo'yicha e'lon berganda talablarimizni qo'yamiz. Til bo'yicha, mutaxassislik bo'yicha, yo'nalish bo'yicha. Shu asosida abituriyentlar hujjat topshiradi. Lekin ochig'ini aytishim kerak, doim ham bizda yaxshi abituriyentlar, bilimlilari bo'ladi doim ham. Lekin biz hamkor OPM bilan kelishgan holda birinchidan pre-selection bo'ladi. O'zimiz hujjatlarni qabul qilib, ko'rib chiqib, ular bilan kerak bo'lsa bir gaplashib, keyin biz ro'yxatini hamkor universitetga beramiz, xorijdagi. Qabul jarayoni admission. Asosan bizda hamkorlarimiz test shaklida, yozma shaklda, og'zaki shaklda 2020-yilda bizda asosan onlayn testlar va onlayn suhbat asosida talabalarimiz qabul qilindi. Qisqacha fikrim bir narsani aytishim mumkin, biz doim ham yaxshi abituriyent, yaxshi talabalarni olish imkonimiz bo'lmaydi, chunki biz oldindan ularni bilimini bilmaymiz, layoqatini bilmaymiz. Ayrim hollarda boshqa oliy ta'lim muassasasiga kira olmagan abituriyentlar qo'shma dasturlarga topshiradi. Respublika OPMlarga kira olmaganlar yoki bali past bo'lganlar. Shuning uchun bizda aloqa yo'q. Tanlovimiz yo'q. Aynan eng yaxshilarini tanlab olishlik u faqat kirish imtihonlari natijasida aniqlanadi. Menda shu qisqacha, kimda fikr bo'lsa qo'shsanglar.
Well, hello. Can I give my opinion also? All right. So when I was working at Silk Road International University of Tourism in Samarkand, well, to attract good students, we were advertising through social media that at this period of time, so at this period of time, we're gonna start admission for double degree programs such and to submit. So you need to have certificates such as like language certificates, IELTS or TOEFL, this kind of level or this kind of score. And that kind of way, so for double degree, they collected about 20 or 30% of students who could speak and understand English more fluently.
So thank you so much. Yeah, I can see that there was also somebody writing that the joint programs are quite often a second choice. So that's a little bit different picture, I think, from my experience, where they have been very attractive. So, or maybe it's because also they are quite new and the tuition fee is higher, and I don't there is enough testimonials from students, from graduates about the benefits of those programs, but this is just thinking. So how to attract your students? Of course, scholarships is really important. Maybe that's something that could still be explored with the private sector or with some industry, that you could try to get scholarships, because those graduates will be very useful for industry with their international skills and language skills, and attracting foreign visiting teachers, foreign professors to teach, decreasing expenses somehow, the double diploma, and employment particularly, and free. Exactly, this is also a good provide free hostels, so you can try to look at all your expenses and see where you can get even sponsorship if they're not sponsoring scholarships. Some private sector or even NGOs, somebody could come in and provide just housing for students or support in some other way. So thank you so much for this and for being active in the discussion. And I think now it's time to give the word to the State Inspectorate to provide insights on the national quality assurance perspective. And we will have to see, we were just discussing during the group work that maybe we don't need another break. So let's see how far we can get, but at least we will listen to Mr. Odilov, and we can have some questions, and then maybe after that a short 5-minute break before we finish off. So please.
Assalomu alaykum. Bugungi hurmatli seminar ishtirokchilari. Demak, men o'z taqdimotimda shu ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimi va akkreditatsiya bo'yicha hamda O'zbekistondagi bu boradagi tizim qanday ishlashi bo'yicha qisqacha ma'lumot beraman. Taqdimot rejasiga ko'ra, birinchi ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimi haqida qisqacha to'xtalib o'taman. Shundan so'ng qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarida ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash bo'yicha mavjud muammolar va joriy holat bo'yicha va yakunida shu ta'lim inspeksiyasi aynan olib borgan o'rganishlar, ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash bo'yicha o'rganishlar asosida kelib chiqqan tavsiyalar bilan o'rtoqlashaman. Demak, ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimi oxirgi 3 yilda o'sha xalqaro tajribaga muvofiq takomillashtirilib borilyapti. Bu yerda o'sha ta'lim inspeksiyasini Yevropa ta'lim sifatini kafolatlash agentliklar uyushmasiga a'zo bo'lib kirishi hamda hozirda Oliy va o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi bilan hamkorlikda Yevropa ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash standartlari va tamoyillari asosida ta'lim sifatini ichki va tashqi ta'minlash tizimlarini takomillashtirish bo'yicha ishlar olib borilyapti. Ta'lim sifatiga yondashuv o'zi qanday bizda? Yondashuv albatta birinchi dastlab hammaga hech kimga sir emas, biz nazorat sifatida buni talqin qilardik. Chunki inspeksiya shu 3 yil oldin tashkil etilgan bo'lsa, ta'lim sifatiga dastlabki yondashuv nazorat nuqtai nazaridan qarab kelgan. Keyinchalik bu biz o'zimizda strategiyani o'zgartirdik. To'g'ri, oliy ta'lim muassasalari ma'lum bir standart talablarga amal qilish kerak, lekin shu bilan birgalikda buni amal qilish uchun nazorat qilishdan ko'ra ularda shu sifatni ta'minlash tizimi bormi? Bu qanchalik yaxshi ishlayapti? Agarda bu tizimni biz ishga tushira olsak, nazorat qilishga hojat qolmaydi degan ma'noda, demak, ta'lim sifatini ta'minlashda biz nazoratdan ko'proq ta'lim sifatini yanada oshirish strategiyasini tanladik. Va bunda asosiy urg'u e'tiborni har bir oliy ta'lim muassasasida sifat madaniyatini shakllantirish. Agarda biz shunga erisha olsak, bunda bizga tashqi nazoratchilik kerak emas. Agarda biz shu sifat madaniyatini oliy ta'lim muassasasida ko'rsak, bu yerda albatta ta'lim sifati yomonlashish xavfi minimallashadi va bu jamiyat, ta'lim oluvchilar, asosiy manfaatdor tomonlar ishonchini yanada oshiradi. Shu maqsadda ta'lim sifatini ta'minlashda demak ikki xil tizim tizimi ikki xil tizim ishlab chiqildi. Bu ichki baholash tizimi, tashqi baholash tizimi. Xuddi ichki baholash tizimi aynan oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'ziga ta'lim sifatiga birlamchi javobgar sifatida mas'uliyatni his qiladi va bu yerda u ikkita funksiyani bajaradi. Birinchisi ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash bo'yicha hisobdorlikni to'liq bo'yniga oladi. Ya'ni o'sha ta'lim oluvchilar, ota-onalar, ish beruvchilar jamiyat oldida hisobdorligi. Ikkinchisi o'sha ta'lim sifatini yaxshilash bo'yicha o'zining ichki tizimini yaratgan holda ta'lim sifatini muntazam o'zida baholab borib, turli xil mustaqil taraflarni, xususan talabalarni, ish beruvchilarni jalb qilgan holda ta'lim sifatini yanada oshirib boradi, aniqlangan muammolarni bartaraf. Bu narsa ichki baholash tizimi deb biz qabul qilamiz. Tashqi baholash tizimi bu aynan shu ta'lim inspeksiyasi tomonidan amalga oshiriladigan ta'lim sifatini tashqi baholash. Bu odatda bizda turli xil ko'rinishlarda olib boriladi. Bu birinchisi davlat akkreditatsiyasi. Ya'ni oliy ta'lim muassasasi har 5 yilda isbotlab berish kerak. Qanday u ta'lim sifatini ta'minlayapti, ta'lim sifati qay darajada u yerda. Ikkinchi mexanizm biza monitoringlar o'tkazamiz, tashqi auditlar o'tkazib turamiz. Ya'ni bu o'sha xavf-xatar tahliliga asoslangan holda. Ya'ni biz fikrlarni o'rganamiz, talabalar o'rtasida so'rovnoma o'tkazamiz, ijtimoiy maydondagi fikrlarni o'rganib, oliy ta'lim muassasalarini xavf-xatar darajasini belgilaymiz. Va bu yerda ta'lim sifati yomonlash xatari yuqori bo'lganlarini belgilab olgan holda ularda turli xil tashqi auditlarni o'tkazib turamiz. Va yana bir mexanizmimiz bu yerda bu milliy reyting tizimi. Bu har yil oliy ta'lim muassasalarining milliy reytingini o'tkazamiz. Bu milliy reyting tizimidan ham maqsad shu ta'lim sifatini yaxshilash bo'lib, ya'ni bu sohada raqobatni yaratish hamda oliy ta'lim muassasalari bir-biridan o'zishga harakat qilishga undash hisoblanadi. Va bu ham mana oxirgi 3 yilda o'tkazib kelyapmiz. O'z natijasini juda yaxshi beryapti. O'sha sifat ko'rsatkichlari qandaydir bir foizlarda emas, balki barobarlarda oshishganligini ko'ryapmiz. Endi bu yerda demak akkreditatsiyani o'tkazishda bizda O'zbekistonda davlat akkreditatsiyasi bor va buni o'tkazishga vakolatli organ ta'lim inspeksiyasi. Davlat akkreditatsiyasi bu ham dastur ko'rinishida o'tkazilishi mumkin, ham institutsional ko'rinishda o'tkazilishi mumkin. Bu ham qonunchilikda belgilangan. Har 5 yilda o'tkaziladi. Majburiy bo'ladi. Har 5 yilda o'tishi. Agarda 5 yilda o'tmasa, akkreditatsiya sertifikatdan mahrum qilinadi. Bu degani oliy ta'lim muassasasi bitiruvchilarga hujjat bera olmaydi. Hamda qabul to'xtatilishi kerak. Va bu ikkita tizim bir-biri bilan hozir uyg'un ravishda ishlayapti. Sababi bu tizim bu ikkalasi maqsadi bitta, sifatni yaxshilash. Tashqi baholashda yondashuv qanaqa bo'ldi akkreditatsiyada? Biz oliy ta'lim muassasasiga borganimizda to'g'ri oldinlari aniq bir maqsadli ko'rsatkichlar bo'ladi yoki talablar, shu talabni qanchalik bajaryapti bo'ladi. Hozir biz bundan uzoqlashdikda biz xohlaydigan narsa ichki baholash tizimi mavjudligi akkreditatsiyani asosiy sharti qilib belgilab qo'ydi. Ya'ni agarda akkreditatsiyadan o'tmoqchi bo'lsa, oldin oliy ta'lim muassasasi bizga ko'rsatib berish kerak, ichki baholash tizimi bormi unda? Bu qanchalik samarali ishlayapti? Bu qanchalik ta'lim sifatini oshirishga imkon beryapti? Bu qanchalik jarayon shaffof? Agarda biz shuni ko'rsak, unda biz tashqi baholashni o'tkazishga kirisha olishimiz mumkin. Agarda bu narsa bo'lmasa, ular o'z-o'zini baholamasa, o'zini baholash hisobotlarini keng jamoatchilikka e'lon qilib bormasa yoki bu hisobotlardagi ma'lumotlar noto'g'ri berilsa, odamlarni chalg'itishga yo'naltirilgan bo'lsa, unda biz belgilab qo'ydikki, bu oliy ta'lim muassasasiga tashqi baholashdan o'tkazilmaydi va akkreditatsiyasidan mahrum qilinadi. Shunaqa qat'iy talab qo'ydik. Maqsadimiz nima edi? Oliy ta'lim muassasasida o'sha sifat madaniyatini shakllantirish. Ya'ni o'z sifatiga o'zi javob bersin. Chunki oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'zi biladi kadr buyurtmachisi kimligini, bu bilan qanday ishlashdi. shu kadr buyurtmachisi bilan hamkorlikda ishlab, o'z dasturlarini o'zi yaxshilashni biladi. Qachongacha tashqarida kimdir kelib o'rgatadi. Chunki bu narsa ham muhim rol o'ynaydi. Va yana bir narsasi tashqi baholash. Tashqi baholashda ko'plar aytadi, inspeksiya o'tkazadi. Yo'q, inspeksiya tashkil qilib beradi uni. Uni o'tkazuvchilar mustaqil ekspertlar tizimdagi shu sohada ishlab turuvchi professor o'qituvchilar, ish beruvchilar, talabalar jalb qilinadi. Va ular baho beradi ta'lim sifatiga. Inspeksiya bo'lsa, buni muvofiqlashtiruvchi organ sifatida o'z faoliyatini yuritadi. Xo'p, akkreditatsiya jarayoni qanday bosqichlardan iborat bizga? Shartli ravishda bu birinchi aytganimizdek oliy ta'lim muassasasi tayyorlanadi. Ya'ni o'zini o'zi baholashdan o'tkazadi. O'zini o'zi baholash hisobotini tayyorlaydi va ariza bilan birgalikda taqdim qiladi ta'lim inspeksiyasiga. Ta'lim inspeksiyasi o'zini o'zi baholash va arizani ko'rib chiqadi. Ko'rib chiqqandan keyin agarda belgilangan talablarga mos bo'lsa, unda tashqi baholash jarayoni rejaga qo'yiladi va tashqi baholash jarayoni boshlanadi. Tashqi baholash jarayoni boshlaganda tashqi baholash ikki xil amalga oshiriladi. Hujjatli baholash bu bevosita inspeksiyaning o'zida ekspertlarni yollagan holda taqdim etilgan materiallarni o'rganish bo'ladi. Ikkinchi qismi bu bevosita oliy ta'lim muassasasiga tashrif buyurish. Ya'ni tashrif buyurishdan maqsad biz qog'ozda berilgan narsalar qanchalik amalda joriy etilgan, qanchalik shu sifatli ta'lim imkoniyatlari yaratilgan. Bu yerda talabalar bilan suhbatlashamiz. Professor o'qituvchilar, ish beruvchilar, OTM rahbariyati bilan intervyular tashkil etamizda va biz maqsadimiz shu amin bo'lish, oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'zini o'zi baholash bergan hisoboti qanchalik amalda aks etgan. Shunga biz amin bo'lsak, shuni o'zi bizga yetarli. Va shuningdek, o'sha mustaqil ekspertlar tashrif buyuradi oliy ta'lim muassasasiga. Bu yerda vaziyatni ko'rib, ular hisobot tayyorlashadi. Hisobot tayyorlangandan keyin bu hisobot ta'lim inspeksiyasi huzurida akkreditatsiya komissiyasi bor. Bu komissiyada mustaqil ekspertlar bor, ta'lim inspeksiyasi rahbariyati o'tiradi va ular bu hisobot bo'yicha ko'rib chiqishadida oxirgi qarorni qabul qilishadi, akkreditatsiya qarorini. Va qaror qabul qilingandan keyin bu qaror dastlabki xulosa sifatida oliy ta'lim muassasasiga yuboriladi. Ya'ni ana shu xulosaga kelindi. Dastlabki deganimiz ko'rib chiqinglar, qayerda e'tiroz bo'lsa, qayerda xatolik o'tgan bo'lishi mumkin. Qayerda ma'lumotlar bilan norozi bo'lsanglar, fikrlaringizni beringlar deyiladi. Oliy ta'lim muassasalari buni ko'rib chiqib, o'z fikrlarini beradi. Va bu fikrlar agarda o'sha jarayonga jalb qilgan ekspert fikridan farq qilsa, biz boshqa ekspertlarni yollab, ular qanchalik e'tirozlar o'rinligini o'rganamiz. Va oxirida yakuniy xulosa chiqaramiz. Yakuniy xulosa chiqqandan keyin yakuniy xulosaning sharti bor. Buni sharti shundaki, aniqlangan muammolar va taklif etilgan tavsiyalar bo'yicha oliy ta'lim muassasasi o'zini yo'l xaritasini ishlab chiqadi. Va bu yo'l xarita bo'yicha majburiyatni oladi, shu aniqlangan muammolarni bartaraf etish, berilgan tavsiyalarni amaliyotga joriy etish bo'yicha va bu jarayon doimiy ravishda amalga oshishi zarur. Shuning uchun akkreditatsiya 5 yilga beriladi degani bilan bu bir o'tkazildi, shuning bilan keyin 5 yildan keyin kelib yana o'tkaziladi degani emas, balki institut majburiyatni olyapti. Men keyingi 5 yil davomida shu akkreditatsiya jarayonida aniqlangan ta'lim sifatini kamida shu sifat darajasini ta'minlayman degan majburiyatni oladi va aniqlangan muammolarni bartaraf etish. Albatta bu yerda bu jarayonlarni ochib berilgan. Shuningdek, bizda baholash qanday amalga oshiriladi standartlari, ta'lim sifat standartlari. Ularda 7 ta yo'nalish, 15 ta mezon bor hamda baholash ko'rsatkichlari 100 dan ortiq. Bu albatta, chunki biz butun boshli oliy ta'lim muassasasini to'liq bir jarayonga baho beramiz. Bu vaqt oladigan jarayon. Odatda 3 oydan 5 oygacha vaqt olyapti. Ba'zida katta oliy ta'lim muassasalariga 9 oylab vaqt ketyapti. Chunki Bizda akkreditatsiyani bitta o'ziga xos tarafi shundaki, hozirgi akkreditatsiya tizimida institutsional akkreditatsiya va ta'lim dasturi akkreditatsiyani gibridi ko'rinishda tashkil etilgan. Ya'ni biz qaror chiqarganda va o'rganganda nafaqat institutni institutsional jihatdan o'rganamiz, balki har bir ta'lim dasturini o'rganib chiqamiz. Shu jihatdan bizda ish hajmi ancha kattaroq, chunki xorijliklar bilan suhbatlashamiz. Ular aytishadi, ko'pincha biz institutsional o'tkazamiz. Biza sizlarda jarayon juda ham katta ekan, lekin eng yaxshi tomoni sizlar mukammal o'rganar ekansizlar degan ma'noda. Va albatta qaysi yo'nalishlar bo'yicha biz baholaymiz oliy ta'lim muassasasi faoliyatini. Bu ta'lim jarayonini boshqarish, boshqaruv qanday yo'lga qo'yilgan, ta'lim jarayonini rejalashtirish va amalga oshirish, ta'lim natijalarini ko'ramiz, ya'ni o'sha talabalar erishgan ta'lim natijalari, professor o'qituvchilar salohiyati, ularning ilmiy salohiyati, pedagogik salohiyati va ilmiy faoliyati natijadorligi, sifatli ta'lim olish uchun yaratilgan muhit, ta'limni ishlab chiqarish va ilm fan bilan integratsiyasi, xalqaro hamkorlik holati va oxirgi eng muhimlaridan biri bu bitiruvchilarning bilimi, ularning amaliy ko'nikmalari, ish beruvchilarning bitiruvchilar haqidagi fikri o'rganiladi. Va bu yerda har bir mezon albatta ochib berilgan. Keyin prezentatsiyani taqdim etaman, bemalol ko'rib ko'rish mumkin. Bu bizning veb-saytda ham ochiq ma'lumot sifatida turibdi. Demak, natija bizda nima bo'ladi agar salbiy xulosa qabul qilinsa? Demak, akkreditatsiyada bizda ikkita natija bor. Birinchisi akkreditatsiyalandi, ikkinchisi akkreditatsiyalanmadi. Oldin bizda 3 ta edi. Akkreditatsiyalandi, shartli akkreditatsiyalandi, akkreditatsiyalanmadi. Lekin oxirgi paytda biz kuzatganimizda shartlini olib tashlashga majbur bo'ldik. Sababi shartli bu oliy ta'lim muassasalari shartlini bu imkoniyat sifatida tushuna boshlashdi-da, baribir shartli borki, biz tayyorlanmasak ham bo'ladi, shartliga tushamizda keyin yana tayyorlanib deganda mana shunaqacha bir suiiste'molliklar paydo bo'lgandan keyin biz bu narsani vaqtincha olib turdik va talabni qat'iylashtirdik. Ikkita natija bu, ikkita yo'ldan biri, boshqa yo'l bo'lishi mumkin emas. Qanaqa agar salbiy bo'lsa, qanaqa oqibatga olib keladi? Oqibati agarda u davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, o'sha ta'lim yo'nalishlariga qabul to'xtatiladi. Nodavlat oliy ta'lim muassasasi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, litsenziyasi bekor qilinadi. Va bu yerda keyin biz o'sha akkreditatsiya jarayonlarini maksimal ravishda shaffof o'tkazish uchun, inson omilini kamaytirish uchun tizimni elektronlashtirdik. Ya'ni onlayn akkreditatsiya tizimini ishlab chiqdik. Oldin bilamiz, an'anaviy shaklda ta'lim muassasasidan qop-qop hujjatlar kelardi. Va bu hujjatlarni o'rganib chiqish, bu odamlarni sarson qilardi. Keyin ekspertlarni ham jalb qilishda albatta ularning kelib ketishi, bu kabi narsalar jarayonni murakkablashtirardi hamda inson omilini ham kuchaytirardi. Keyin biz o'yladik, bizda ekspert ikki guruhga bo'linadi. Ekspert, ko'rinmas ekspert, ko'rinadigan ekspert. Ko'rinmas ekspert bu onlayn ravishda biz bilan ishlaydi. Faqat uni biz bilamiz, boshqa hech kim bilmaydi. Men ham bilmayman. Agar o'sha oliy ta'lim muassasasi qaysi bir xodimga biriktirilgan bo'lsa, faqat u bilishi mumkin. Ikkinchi ko'rinadigan ekspert bu bevosita o'sha joyiga tashrif buyuradigan ekspert hisoblanadi. Ya'ni ta'lim muassasasi va ekspertlar o'rtasidagi muloqotni kamaytirish orqali bu yerda ham har xil bir korrupsion sxemalarni yo'qotishni maqsad qilib qo'ygan. Chunki baribir u ochiq fakt, bizda O'zbekiston kichik davlat, ko'z-ko'zga tushadi degan gap bor. Shu kabi narsalarni bartaraf qilish uchun biz onlayn qildik. Demak, hamma jarayon, ariza topshirish, hujjatlar topshirish onlayn amalga oshiriladi. Har bir institut uchun alohida kabinet ochiladi va har bir institutga ekspertlar tasodifiy ravishda ekspertlar reyestridan biriktiriladi, uni kompyuter biriktiradi. Ekspertlar shaxsiy kabineti ochiladi, ekspertlarga ish taqsimlanadi, ekspertlar o'zini onlayn kabineti orqali ishlaydi. Bu ko'rinmas ekspertlarimiz ishi. Ko'rinarli ekspertlarimiz ular ochiq turadi va bu bizga nimani imkonini beradi? Biz beriladigan xulosalarni solishtirish va erta haqqoniy xulosa chiqarish imkonini beradi. Hozir bu tizimni biz 2019-yil fevralda sinovdan o'tkazdik. Hozir to'liq ishga tushdi. Hozir bu oliy ta'lim muassasalarida faqat elektron ravishda ishlayapmiz. Va shuningdek, bilamizki, akkreditatsiya natijalari, ta'lim sifatida berilgan tashqi baholash xulosalari ochiq turishi kerak. Bu chunki u jamiyat uchun qilinyapti. Har bir fuqaro bilish kerak, oliy ta'lim muassasasida qanaqa holat, qanaqa sifat va shunga qarab u qaror qabul qilish juda muhim ertaga oliy ta'lim muassasasini tanlashda. Shuning uchun biz onlayn akkreditatsiya hisobotlarni ham elektron ravishda joylashtirib borish tizimini ishga tushirdik. Va shu yerdan yana akkreditatsiyadan o'tgan ta'lim tashkilotlari reyestrini ham yo'lga qo'ydik. Ya'ni bu narsa nafaqat O'zbekiston uchun kerak, balki xorijiy hamkorlarimiz uchun ham juda ular ko'p ma'lumot so'radi bizdan. Qani bu ta'lim tashkilotining o'tganmi, qachon o'tgan, xulosa qanday berilgan, sertifikatini ko'rsak bo'ladimi deb. Bu tizimni to'liq onlayn qilib qo'ydik. Endi bu yerda bemalol istagan oliy ta'lim muassasasining ahvoli qanaqaligini, qachon o'tganligini, qachon muddat tugashi, kim o'tkazgan uni, qaysi xulosa asosida o'tdi deb berilgan, to'liq ma'lumot beriladi hamda sertifikatdan elektron chiqarish imkoniyati bor QR kod orqali. Bu orqali hozir ishimiz ancha osonlashdi, xususan xorijiy hamkor oliy ta'lim tashkilotlari bilan ular ham shu reyestrdan to'liq foydalangan holda O'zbekiston Respublikasidagi oliy ta'lim muassasalari haqidagi aniq xulosalarga ega bo'lishyapti. Maqsadimiz ochiqlik edi. Mana ma'lumotlarni ochiq qilib qo'yapmiz. Bu albatta boshida qiyin bo'ldi bizga. To'g'ri, ko'plar e'tiroz bildirdi. Hali biz tayyor emasmiz. Lekin maqsadimiz ta'lim sifatini oshirish va qiladigan ishlarimiz shaffof bo'lishini ta'minlash edi. Endi bu umumiy tizim. Bu umumiy tizim qo'shma dasturlar uchun ham taalluqli. Bu alohida bir tizim emas. Endi qo'shma dasturlarda ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash qanday amalga oshiriladi? Xuddi ular ham akkreditatsiyadan o'tadi, lekin ular yangi tashkil etish jarayoniga to'xtaydigan bo'lsak, agar davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasi qo'shma ta'lim dasturi ochmoqchi bo'lsa, demak, unga davlat tomonidan ruxsat berilishi kerak. Demak, ular partnyorini topadi, shartnomani imzolaydi, o'quv rejasini, dasturlarni ishlab chiqaradi, taqdim etadi. Bu bo'yicha ruxsat beruvchi organ Vazirlar Mahkamasi, ishchi organ Oliy va o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi. Bundan maqsad nima edi? Maqsad oliy ta'lim muassasasida yetarli sharoit bormi shu ta'lim yo'nalishini ochishga? Professor o'qituvchilar bormi? Haqiqatdan ham shartnomalar imzolanganmi? Chunki biza qo'rqamiz talabalar aldanib qolishidan. Ya'ni agarda ular fiktivniy shartnoma bo'lsa yoki yana bitta yo'li ularga mustaqillik berildi to'liq. Mustaqillik berilgandan keyin kimdir boshqa bir ma'noda mana qo'shma dastur ochdi, talabalarni qabul qilib, lekin aslida u yerda hech narsa bo'lmasa. Bu kabilarni oldini olish uchun bu juda ham oddiy jarayon. Oliy ta'lim muassasasi shu o'zini yetarli sharoit borligini, kelishuvga erishganligini hamda yetarli o'sha ta'lim muhiti, professor o'qituvchilar borligini ko'rsatib bersa, shuni o'zi yetarli. Nodavlat oliy ta'lim muassasasi qanday qiladi? Ular qilish uchun ularning faoliyati litsenziyalash orqali amalga oshiriladi. Litsenziyani beruvchi organ ta'lim inspeksiyasi. Agarda ular yangi dastur ochmoqchi bo'lsa va qo'shma dastur bo'lsa, demak, ular litsenziyani yangilash kerak, ilovasini. Bizda litsenziya berilganda litsenziyada ilova beriladi. Ya'ni shu oliy ta'lim tashkiloti qaysi ta'lim dasturlari bo'yicha faoliyat ko'rsatish huquqiga ega. Ana shunda agar yangi ta'lim dasturi qo'shilsa, unda ular aynan shu litsenziyani yangilashga ariza beradi va bu yerda litsenziya talablari bo'yicha baholanadi, ijobiy baholansa, litsenziya ilovasi yangilab beriladi. Bu maqsad shu bozorga kirishda shu sifatli provayderlar kirishini ta'minlash uchun qilingan xolos. Endi Xo'p, qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarini ular ham akkreditatsiyadan o'tadimi, o'tmaydi? Ular o'tadi akkreditatsiyadan. Akkreditatsiyadan o'tishga ikkita yo'li bor. Birinchisi ta'lim inspeksiyasi o'tkazish mumkin. Ikkinchisi xorijiy ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash agentliklari. Ya'ni agarda biz shunday narsani qo'yganmiz, bu qachonki amalga oshadi xorijiy ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash agentliklari. Agarda u xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasasining filiali bo'lsa yoki xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasasi bilan hamkorlikda faoliyat yuritadigan bo'lsa, unda biz aytamiz, o'sha bosh ta'lim tashkiloti akkreditatsiyadan o'tgan payti bu dasturlarni ham qo'shib o'tkazishga ruxsat beramiz va uni tan olamiz. Har 5 yilda o'tish kerak. Bu milliy qonunchilik. Bizni qiziqtirmaydi. Boshqa davlatda 10 yilda o'tadi, 20 yilda o'tadi. Chunki O'zbekiston Respublikasida faoliyat ko'rsatuvchi xorijiy oliy ta'lim muassasalari milliy qonunchilikni hurmat qilish kerak va unga amal qilish kerak. Bu yerda ham shunaqa natija o'tdi, o'tmadi, oqibatga olib keladi. Endi qo'shma dasturni akkreditatsiyalashda qanday? O'sha oliy ta'lim muassasasi ikkita yo'li bor. Hozir bu ishlayapti. Ba'zilar aytadi, bizda akkreditatsiyadan o'tgandik, lekin yangi qo'shma dastur ochdik va bizda akkreditatsiya sertifikatimiz tugamadi, lekin mana bu dastur bo'yicha bizga tashqi baholash kerak deganda ariza bilan murojaat qilsa, biz ta'lim dasturini ham o'tkazib berishimiz mumkin. Yoki oliy ta'lim muassasasining navbatdagi akkreditatsiya davrida birgalikda o'tkazib berishimiz mumkin. Nodavlat oliy ta'lim muassasalari. Nodavlat oliy ta'lim muassasalarida ular birinchi marta ochilganda litsenziya asosida ochiladi. Litsenziya muddatsiz hisoblanadi. Lekin litsenziyani kuchda qolishini asosiy talabi ular har 5 yilda akkreditatsiyadan o'tishlari. Litsenziya oldi, 5 yildan keyin akkreditatsiyadan o'tmasa, bu degan litsenziya bekor qilinadi degan. Agar litsenziya bekor qilinishni xohlamasa, u akkreditatsiyadan o'tish kerak. Va bu akkreditatsiya litsenziyani uzaytirishga asos bo'ladi. Va bu yerda akkreditatsiyalovchi organ ikkala tarafda ham ta'lim inspeksiyasi hisoblanadi. Endi biz aynan o'sha hali qo'shma dasturlarni akkreditatsiyadan o'tkazmadik birortasini, lekin tashqi auditlarni olib bordik. Qo'shma dasturlar qanchalik ishlayapti, ta'lim sifati qanchalik u yerda talabga javob beryapti degan ma'noda. Sababi biz aytganimizdek, o'sha bizda xavf-xatar tahlil tizimi bor. Biz muntazam so'rovnomalar o'tkazamizda aynan e'tirozlar qayerdan tushyapti? Masalan, o'tgan yil e'tirozlar ko'p qo'shma dasturlardan tushdi bizga. Demakki, biz qo'shma dasturlarni tashqi auditdan o'tkazdik. Endi borib aniqlaganimizda nima bo'ldi? Birinchisi, bizda muammo qo'shma ta'lim dasturini tashkil etishda shartnoma bo'lib tuziladi. Shu shartnomaga qo'yilgan minimal talab yo'q. Hamma har xilcha shartnoma tuzgan va bu yerda shu oliy ta'lim muassasalari uchun bu yangilik bo'lgani uchun ham shartnomalar ko'pincha xom tuzilgan. Xom tuzilish natijasida yuzaga keladigan muammoni huquqiy hal qilish imkoni bo'lmay qolyapti ko'p joylarda. Yoki ikkinchisi, biz qo'shma ta'lim dasturi tushganda asosiy urg'u bu yerda mobillik bo'lishi kerak. Va shartnomalarda mobillik qismi juda mafhum yozilib ketgan. Ya'ni agar u shartnoma bilan ishlaydigan bo'lsa, bu yerda mobillikni ta'minlash degan majburiyatni qo'yib ham bo'lmaydi. Uchinchisi, o'sha Anika xonim ham aytdilar, boshqalar aytdi, qabul tizimida bizda. Qabul tizimini aniq bir shakli yo'q, aniq bir talabi yo'q. Xohlagandek qabulni o'tkazishgan. Bu o'z-o'zidan talabalar, jamoatchilik e'tiroziga sabab bo'lyapti. Chunki qabul qanchalik shaffof bo'lsa, qanchalik milliy qonunchilikka mos bo'lsa, unda bu e'tirozlar bosiladi-da. Va talabalar bilan o'tkazgan suhbatlarimizni ko'ryapmiz. Bola yuqoridagi hamkasblar ham aytishdi, qo'shma dastur bu imkoniyatsizlikdan sababli boriladigan joyga aylanib qoldi ba'zi joylarda. Chunki u davlat oliy ta'lim muassasasiga kirolmadi. Bitta yo'li qo'shma ta'lim dasturi bo'lyapti. bu yerda nimaga unaqa kelib qoldik deb ko'p o'yladik bu narsani. Qanday qilib qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarini obro'sini ko'tarishimiz mumkin. Chunki bulardan kutilgan maqsad yangi tajribani O'zbekistonga olib kelish edi. Shu mobillikni kuchaytirish orqali bir-birimizdan o'rganish. Bu orqali oliy ta'lim tizimini ham modernizatsiya qilishga bir yangi qadam qo'yishdan iborat. Buni shu uchun oliy ta'lim muassasalaari bilan ko'p muzokaralar olib bordik. Muzokaralar natijasida takliflar beryapmiz va bu bo'yicha keyin oliy va o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirligi bilan o'tgan yil aynan qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarini tartibga solish bo'yicha qaror loyihasini ham ishlab chiqqandik. Negadir hali ham chiqmayapti, lekin menimcha yaqin kunlarda chiqadi. Chunki oliy ta'lim muassasalari ham bizdan so'rayapti-da. Aniq bir tartibga soluvchi bir hujjat bo'lganda edi deyapti. Biz ham bemalol partnyorlar bilan ishlay olardik deyapti. Hozir biz qo'rqyapmiz deyapti. Agar xatolik qilib qo'ysak, erta javob berishimiz kerak. Bu bo'yicha aniq biror joyda yozilmagan, natijada qiynalyapmiz degan ko'p e'tirozlar tushyapti. Shunga yordam beringlar deb. Shuning uchun biz doim tavsiya berib kelamiz. Tavsiya berganda birinchi partnyorni tanlashda. Partnyor birinchidan o'zini davlatda e'tirof etilgan bo'lishi kerak. Agarda u xalqaro darajada e'tirof etilgan bo'lsa, undan ham yaxshi. Chunki bu partnyor hech qachon ta'lim sifati bo'yicha u har doim kurashadi va ta'lim sifatini yuqori darajada ta'minlashga harakat qiladi. Va bu orqali bizni sifat ko'tarishga erishishimiz mumkin. Va ko'p hollarda biz o'rganganimizda hozir iziga tushdi bu narsa. Boshida to'g'ri partnyor tanlashda qiyin bo'ldi. Chunki partnyorlar ham O'zbekiston ular uchun yangi bozor edi. Yangi bozor bo'lgani uchun ishonch masalasi bo'ldi bu yoqda. Hozirda ko'ryapmiz, mana kechadan oldingi kun mana Toshkent davlat iqtisodiyot universitetida o'sha London School of Economics bilan qo'shma ta'lim dasturini imzolashdi. O'sha top o'sha 30 talikka kiradigan mana. Endi bu yerda London School of Economics hech qachon bu dastur bo'yicha tayyorlanayotgan kadrlar sifatiga befarq bo'lmaydi ular. Biznikilar befarq bo'lsa ham ular befarq bo'lmaydi. Agarda ertaga talabalar ularning talabiga javob bermasa, o'quv jarayoni ular talab bilan tashkil etilmasa, ular o'z diplomini bermaydi. Shu bois biz shuni tavsiya qilamiz, har doim hamkor, ishonchli hamkor qidirish kerak. Ikkinchisi, yana bizda bitta narsa kuzatilyapti. Oliy ta'lim muassasalariga tashrif buyursak, masalan, fizika ta'lim dasturi bo'lsa, ikkita ta'lim dasturi qolyapti. Bittasi qo'shma ta'lim dasturi bo'yicha, bittasi davlat tomonidan tasdiqlangan ta'lim dasturi bo'yicha. Ikkovida o'qitish xilma-xil, ikkovining o'quv rejasi xilma-xil. Bu oliy ta'lim muassasasining o'zini ichida kadr tayyorlashga ikki tomonlama yondashuv bo'lib kelyapti. Va buni mehnat bozori tushunmayapti. Qaysi biriga biz ishonishimiz kerak deb. Bu kabi albatta narsalarga e'tibor berishimiz juda muhim va qo'shma ta'lim dasturiga qabul qilish, o'qitish, yakuniy imtihonlar, daraja va kvalifikatsiya berish bo'yicha yagona talablarni ishlab chiqish. Qo'shma ta'lim dasturi mazmun jihatdan hamkor oliy ta'lim tashkilotda mavjud ta'lim dasturi bilan ko'pi bilan 30%gacha farq qilish mumkinligini belgilash taklif qilaman. Sababi o'quv rejalarini ko'rsak, biz oldin 30 ta fan o'qitsak, qo'shma ta'lim dasturida bu fanlar soni 45 ta bo'lib ketib qolyapti ba'zi joylarda. Ya'ni ular partnyor bilan kelganda o'sha bir-birini qaytaruvchi fanlarni optimallashtirishmaganligi sababli yoki boshqa sababli bu narsa shunga olib kelyapti. Keyin qo'shma ta'lim dasturlari to'g'risida ma'lumotlar, ularni reklama qilish, ularni oliy ta'lim muassasalarining veb saytida ko'rsatish talab darajasida emas. Shuning uchun yaxshi talabalar bormayapti. Akademik mobillik ham agarda shu qo'shma ta'lim dasturiga xorijdan professor o'qituvchi kelsa, xorijiy dastur, xorijiy darsliklar hamda bizda o'qituvchilar bilan hamkorlikda tashkil etilsa, talabalar jonli boradi. Lekin boryapti qarasa, o'zimizda o'qituvchilar yana darslarda aksariyati o'zbek tilida o'tilyapti. Bu albatta talabalarga e'tirozga sabab bo'lyapti, bu yerda bo'lgan sifatga bo'lgan shubhaga olib kelyapti. Shuningdek, ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimi. Aynan qo'shma ta'lim dasturida ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimini aniq bir hamkor va o'zimizdagi oliy ta'lim o'rtasida vazifalar, majburiyatlarning taqsimlanishini aniq yo'lga qo'yib olishimiz kerak. Mana ko'ryapmiz. Hozir ko'p oliy ta'lim muassasalarida masalan talabalar bilimini baholash, ularni attestatsiyadan o'tkazish bu xorijiy hamkor tomonidan amalga oshadi. Bu albatta yaxshi narsa, chunki ular ham o'sha kadr sifatiga amin bo'lyapti. Bu o'zimiz tomonidan ham qattiqroq ishlashni talab qilyapti. Va eng muhimi biza o'sha oliy ta'lim tashkiloti va hamkor oliy ta'lim tashkilotida talabalar mobillligi kafolatlanishi, buni aniq belgilashimiz kerak shartnomada. Mobillik bo'lishi kerak. Talaba shu uchun u yoqqa kiryapti. Oliy ta'lim tashkiloti va hamkor oliy ta'lim tashkiloti professor o'qituvchilar bo'yicha mobillik kafolatlanishi kerak. Bu ham juda muhim narsa. Va qo'shma ta'lim dasturini tugatganlarga qanday diplom berish masalasi. Bu ham hozircha ochiq turibdi. Chunki ko'plar talabalar kirgan payt albatta bizda bilamiz o'sha xorijiy partnyorni diplomini olish ilinjida hamda o'zimizni diplomni ham olish ilinjida shunaqa va'da beryapmiz. Lekin ertaga agarda mana shu ta'lim sifatini ta'minlash tizimi biz aniq ishlatmasak, xorijiy hamkor talablariga bizni tayyorlayotgan talabalar javob bermay qolishi mumkin. Natijada konflikt chiqishi mumkin. Yo'qda ular o'z diplomini bermaymiz deb. Bu kabi muammolar bizga chunki yangi ochilgan, mana keyingi yildan o'z bitiruvchi chiqadi. Mana bitiruvchi chiqqanda bu muammolar asta-asta o'z aksini topishi mumkin. Shu bois shu jihatlarga e'tibor bersak, maqsadga muvofiq bo'lar edi. Va so'zimni oxirida aytmoqchimanki, sifat bu harakat emas, bu odatga aylanishi kerak. Har birimiz qilgan ishimizda, har birimizda kunlik, soatlik harakatimizda sifat bo'lsa, har bir qaror qabul qilishda biz sifatni o'ylab qaror qabul qilsak, bu albatta yaxshi natija beradi va biz taklif qilayotgan yoki oliy ta'lim muassasalari taklif qilayotgan qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarini yoki boshqa ta'lim dasturlarida sifatni ko'tarilishini kafolatlaydi. Rahmat e'tiborlaringiz uchun.
Katta rahmat Asliddin aka. Demak, to'liq juda ham mazmunli taqdimot uchun. Dasturimiz bo'yicha demak biz hozir tanaffusdan o'tib ketdik. Tanaffus demak menimcha juda muhim emas. Keyingi so'z navbatini Annika xonimga beramiz. Qo'shma dasturlarda sifat kafolatini ta'minlash bo'yicha taqdimotlarni o'tkazadilar. Marhamat.
Yes, thank you so much for a very comprehensive overview, and I will finish now with some tips on quality enhancement in joint programs. This is now based on several different projects with existing joint programs in European contexts, and it's also based on the European standards and guidelines. And yes, I hope that this can maybe give some. So this is actually now targeted to the institutions who are running the joint programs on how you can discuss and develop this together with your partners. And just very quickly, so this internal quality assurance in the European standards and guidelines, they do follow also a little bit the same criteria as was mentioned by the State Inspectorate for the accreditation. But this is what you can do internally without the external view. So it's about discussing a joint policy, design and approval, student-centered. You see all this. I will go through all of this actually quickly. And as you know, the challenge in joint programs is that you have all these national quality assurance systems and you have to put them into the same shape. So first of all, it's good to discuss quality on a more psychological level with your partners. So how do you actually define quality in your program, and how can you measure it, and use some common elements for reference, and do a little bit of comparison of your quality assurance systems in the different partner countries, and look at how you are involving students, staff, employers, and alumni in that quality assurance, and at what stage, and how can you do that in your own joint program. And also very importantly is to check the whole internal quality assurance system. So when you receive feedback from students, you receive complaints, something, so who has the responsibility to react on that feedback, or staff feedback, or employer feedback? So you need to have a body that is responsible for the quality in the program. The second one is the design and approval of program and award. We have discussed this already, so these are the legal issues. The student-centered learning, teaching and assessment. This is one of the Bologna principles and kind of a European principle for that is very important. Here you can have, for instance, you should have discussions, as I mentioned previously, among the academics to look at different methodology and how you are assessing students. You can also have joint examiners. For instance, you can have academics move from one partner to another to do exams. In that way, you get also a view of the level where the students are and how they perform. You can also have a student handover note. So when students go from one partner institutions to another, if there are particular problems with a student, you can kind of have an alert and say this one needs particular support or something else. And it's important also to arrange regular meeting with the students, because of course they are the ones who know, they are the final target group of that joint program, so they know how they feel about the quality and what their experience is and what their demands and needs are. We already discussed admission, and it was mentioned also by the inspectorate. So here it's really important to check that it's in line with national legislation, of course, the language requirements and everything, and also be aware of the appeal procedures for the students. The quality of staff has also been mentioned. Here, when you have the joint program, it's very good practice to try to arrange as much staff exchange as possible, so that the staff teaching in one institution can see and experience themselves in practice what teaching looks like in another partner university. And that's where you can then have this joint peer learning and also learn about teaching through English or different multicultural settings. Some of the joint study programs have some kind of online platform or regular meetings also between the academics who are teaching in that program. The learning resources and student support. It's also important to make sure that students have access throughout the whole program to library resources, if possible, to library resources in both partner institutions. And you can, of course, you should have some kind of joint student handbook. You have been mentioning the student contract, but one place where you really clearly outline the rights and obligations of the students and make sure that they are also aligned with the changes in possible contracts that you have. Of course, the mentoring and buddy activities are also important, and academic guidance, particularly when it's an international joint program, because then it's important that students have somewhere to go to ask. They will certainly have lots of questions about the curricula and when they will be moving to another institution, and to learn more about what they can expect. Information systems is something also to think about. Maybe even include in the agreement in the beginning, because you will have then, when students graduate, then they will come back to you maybe 10 years from now, and they ask, you know, where can I get a copy of that that degree, or where do you keep the archives of the credits that the students have implemented or finalized within the program. And also all information related to student progression and student satisfaction, employability. So really to think about the archives already when you take the first student. So who will keep the archives of of that degree. Oh, that's student, sorry. Yeah, and the public information, we already discussed this, but it's also part of that internal quality assurance that you do. So check that you have the same information about the joint study program in all partner institutions, and preferably have one common website. Then you can have your local websites, but really to make sure that you have the same information, you have the same unique selling points, and you present them the competencies and learning outcomes and the academic expertise provided by the partners. And yeah, information on the degree, and make sure that when you have contact persons at the partner institutions, that they provide the same information in all partner institutions. So a summary on the internal quality assurance here is really to have a common agreement with your partner on how to define and measure quality internally. This can of course be a delicate issue because you can receive student complaints from the partner university, and then you really need to have that trust in each other and transparency, and kind of be bold enough to also take up some issues, some delicate issues. And that's why it's important from the start to decide on which body is responsible for reacting on complaints, so that you have somebody already who can take that responsibility. Yeah, and then really try to have this open atmosphere with your partners, with common reference points, and of course with the ultimate aim of seeing then the students to live a unique learning experience. And before we finish, I just want to, in terms of information, also mention the latest developments in Europe on accreditation of joint programs. So it was long a problem that you had joint programs offered by several, let's say 3 universities, and then this same program had to be accredited 3 times. So in each university, the external accreditation agency had to accredit the program. But now, since 2015, the Bologna ministers agreed that a single procedure by one accreditation agency is enough. So they can now accredit the whole program, and then this European approach has to be adopted in national legislation, and then it can be accepted. So that's a big progress and development for the existing joint programs. So basically, they can choose any accreditation agency from this European Quality Assurance Register, ECAR, and ask them to do the accreditation of the program. That was mentioned by the inspectorate, so every 5th year. So they can choose any international accreditation organization for this. And I was thinking that towards the end, since we have been discussing quality, we could just finish with listening to one what students think about quality and how they have experienced this. So I should actually check that I have I need to check that I have the sound, because that's something. Let me first try and see if it works without. Can you hear this sound? Oh, you have given it. Okay. Oh, you don't see the video. Oh, of course. Sorry. It seems thinks that I'm already sharing. Let's do that. Okay. Yes, now it's better. Thank you for telling me. So let me take it from the beginning. Okay. Now here we go. Okay, so that was his experience, and many times these testimonials are, of course, lots of parties and social aspects, but he actually mentions also learning and challenge-based learning and problem-based learning and teamwork and traditions and culture and competencies for the future. So I hope that with this now we have had a long session on quality and management and discussing mobility, structures, recognition. There is still now some time for questions and also maybe questions to Mr. Odilov then towards the end. So I really hope that there could be a change in the perception of joint programs among the students so that they can they could become more attractive.
Katta rahmat Anika xonim. Demak, biz boya kelishganimizdek, mana hozir savol javoblarga vaqtimiz bor. Abduvali aka ham shu yerdalar, boyagi taqdimotlarini bo'yicha savollar bo'ladigan bo'lsa javob berishga tayyorlar. Shu bilan birgalikda Asliddin aka ham hozir qilgan taqdimotlari bor. Demak, kimda qiziqtirgan savollari bo'lsa, marhamat mikrofoninglarni yoqib savol berishinglar mumkin yoki chat orqali ham yozishinglar mumkin. Biz bu savollarni o'qib eshittiramiz. Katta rahmat.
Hech kimda savol bo'lmasa, menda takliflar bor edi, fikrlar. 1 minut, maylimi?
Bemalol.
Abduvali aka, bu yil qo'shma ta'lim dasturlariga qabul jarayonini respublika o'tinlariga qabuldan avval yoki parallel ravishda o'tkazish fikrini bildirdingiz. Bu yerda bitta fikrim bor edi. Bizda mana qo'shma ta'lim dasturlariga topshiradi talaba. Qabul jarayoni tugab, talabalikka qabul qilingandan keyin respublika o'tinlariga kirib qolsa, agar balli yetarli bo'lib, bizda kontrakt summasi yuqoriroq. Shuning uchun ular qo'shma ta'lim dasturlaridan ketib qoladi. Bu natijasida bizda kvota to'lmay qolish holatlari yoki bo'lmasam o'sha bizda liniya deymiz-ku, chiziqdan pastdagilarni har biri bilan muloqot qilib, ularda imkoniyati bormi, xohishi bormi, bali pastroq bo'lsa ham, past degan juda past emas, chiziqdan pastga tushganda. Ularni qabul qilishimizga to'g'ri kelyapti. Mana bu yil pandemiya bo'ldi, bizda kvotamiz 50% ga to'ldi xolos. Chunki qabuldan keyin ko'pchilik respublika o'tinlariga kirishdi. Asosan shu moliyaviy imkoniyatdan kelib chiqib, ular отказ qila boshladi. Hammasi yo'q, men o'zimizda o'qiyman, chunki kontrakt summasi bu yerda kamroq, ham shu yerda, ham chet elga borib o'tirmayman. Asosan bizda jahon tillari da qizlarimiz ko'proq kirganligi uchun ota-onasi chet elga yuborishga juda anaqa emas. Bu bitta fikrim. Ikkinchisi, biz bir Sanjar aka bilan gaplashganda aytdik. 2020-yilda talabalarga shunaqa imkoniyat berildi. 5 ta yo'nalish va turli oliy ta'lim muassasalarini tanlash. DTM saytiga kirib. 2021-yilda qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarida ham DTM saytiga bir tanlov выборочный qilib kiritish imkoni bormi yo'qmi, shuni bilmoqchi edik. Shunda talabalar birinchidan har bir OTM o'zi e'lon qiladi, qayerdadir veb-saytida yoki bir tarmoqda, kimdir xabarsiz qolib ketyapti. Lekin davlat test markazi saytiga har bitta abituriyent kiradi. O'qishga topshiradigan. Shunda 5 ta yo'nalish emas, 6-chi yoki qo'shimcha bir tanlov sifatida respublikadagi o'tinlarni qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarini ham kiritsa bo'larmikan, yo'qmikan? Shuni fikringizni bildirsangiz demoqchi edim. Rahmat.
Abduvali aka, marhamat.
Assalomu alaykum. Husan aka, hamma majlis ishtirokchilari, Sanjar Azizov, xorijiy talabalar, filiallar, qo'shma dasturlar bilan ishlash bo'lim boshlig'iman. Ismim Sanjar Azizov. Bu masalada ko'rib chiqqan edik, endi test markazini saytiga joylashtirish masalasi. Endi test markazi qo'shma dasturlarni testida hech qanaqa ishtirok etmaydi-da. Shunga test markazini saytida joylashtirish masalasi endi u qanchalik maqsadga muvofiq bo'ladi, uni ayta olmaymiz. Lekin test markaziga taklif bilan kiritamiz, lekin ular bizning funksional обязанность bu biza testda qatnashmasak, qanaqa boshqa oliy ta'lim muassasalarida bo'layotgan nimalarni, test imtihonlarini biza e'lon qilishimiz mumkin degan e'tiroz bilan chiqishi mumkin. Lekin alohida bir qo'shma ta'lim dasturini saytini yaratib, o'sha yerda butun respublikadagi qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarida ketayotgan qabul jarayonini e'lon qilishimiz mumkin. Lekin test markazining saytida endi u bilmadim qanchalik to'g'ri bo'ladi.
Aha, tushunarli, rahmat.
Katta rahmat aniqlik kiritgan uchun. Demak, mana chatdan yana bir savol tushyapti. Qo'shma ta'lim dasturlari haqidagi nizom qachon tasdiqlanishi kutilmoqda? Qaysi qismiga yetkazilgan? Qachon kutsak bo'ladi deyishyapti.
Avvalambor savol uchun rahmat. Endi qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarining nizomi bo'yicha tegishli ishlar olib borilgan, nizom ishlab chiqilgan loyihasi. vazirlik idoralar bilan hamma bilan kelishilgan ham. Endi faqatgina hukumatdan bu nizomni tasdiqlanib tushishini kutib o'tiribmiz. Endi u bizning vakolatimizda emas. Vazirlar Mahkamasining qarorini nizom vazirlik idoralar bilan kelishib, Vazirlar Mahkamasiga tasdiqlash uchun kiritilgan. Endi faqat kutishimiz qolgan. Tasdiqlanib chiqqandan keyin ishlayveramiz nizom bilan.
Katta rahmat. Yana bir savol kelganda alohida bu savol tan olish masalasi haqida yozilgan. Qo'shma dasturlarda kecha Abdulloh aka aytib o'tdilar, alohida diplom berish ko'zda tutilgan, ya'ni bitiruvchilar mahalliy hamda boshqa davlatdagi oliy ta'lim muassasasining diplomini olishadi deyilgan. Va mana hozir aytildiki, bitiruvchilarimiz mana shu yaqin yillarda diplomlarni olish kerak. Agar ikkita diplom bo'ladigan bo'lsa, xorijda olingan diplom O'zbekistonda nostrifikatsiya qilinishi kerakmi qo'shma dasturda bitirgan bitiruvchiniki?
Diplomlarni tan olinishi masalasida endi menimcha inspeksiyadan so'raganimiz yaxshiroq bo'lsa kerak. Ular bevosita mutaxassis bu masalada. Rahmat.
Aynan mana shu qaror loyihasida shu masala kiritilgan, yozilgan. Agarda diplom ikki tomonlama berilsa tan olinadi. Bittasi berilsa, u diplom umuman tan olinmaydi degan masala kiritilgan. Chunki bundan maqsad nima qilib qo'yganmiz? Haqiqiy qo'shma ta'lim dasturi bo'lishi ikki tomon ham o'zining diplomini berish kerak. Agar bir tomon bersa, demak bu yerda bizda sal shubha bo'ladi. Yoki ikkinchi tomon majburiyatni bajarmagan. Shu bois shu norma kiritgandik biz. Endi shu qaror chiqishini kutyapmiz. Va bu tan olinadi deganmiz. Bu O'zbekiston hududida ikkalasi ham tan olinadi. Lekin buni yuridik jihati o'sha hujjat chiqsa, yuridik mustahkamlanadi. Agarda u hujjat chiqmaydigan bo'lsa, unda nostrifikatsiya qilishga to'g'ri keladi.
Tushunarli. Demak, bu savol hali ochiq deb hisoblaymiz. Chiqayotgan hujjatga asoslangan holda, demak, bu tan olinish yoki nostrifikatsiya qilinishiga aniqlik kiritilar ekan. Marhamat, yana kimda qanday savollar bo'ladigan bo'lsa, savollarni qabul qilishga hali hozirga yana bitta ikkita savol qabul qilishimiz mumkin va keyin yig'ilishimizga yakun yasaymiz. Savollar barcha taqdimotchilarga va ishtirokchilarga rahmat aytamiz. Ayniqsa Amika xonim bilan mazmunli boshidan qanday tayyorlanish kerak, nimalarga e'tibor berish boshqaruv haqida. Islomboy aka, fikr bildirmoqchimisiz?
Ha, bitta savol agar mumkin bo'lsa. Asliddin akaga edi. Hozir bizda tahsil olayotgan talabalar ham bor. Rossiya hamda Koreya universitetlari bilan bu yildan endi hozir rejalashtiryapmiz qo'shma ta'lim dasturlarida. Bizda talabalardan, abituriyentlardan bitta savol tushyapti. Aytganimdek, ko'pchiligi qiz bola bo'lganligi uchun chet elga ota-onasi uzoq muddatga 1 yilga 6 oyga chiqargisi yo'q. Agar xorijiy hamkorimiz aytaylik 3+1 bo'lsa, 1 yillik o'qishini onlayn tarzda tashkil qilib bersa, bu diplomlarimiz tan olinadimi, yo'qmi? Yangi qarorda bu narsa nazarda tutildimi, yo'qmi? Yangi qaror loyihasi, shuni bilmoqchi edim. Rahmat.
Rahmat savolingiz uchun. O'sha aytaman, tan olish masalasining asosi xorijiy hamkor ta'lim natijasini qanchalik tan olinishiga bog'liq o'zi deyapmiz. Agar xorijiy hamkor uni tan olmasa, u ta'lim natijasini biz ham tan olmaymiz deyapmiz. Masala shu haqda ketyapti-da. Uchun qo'shma dastur bo'lgani uchun ta'lim natijasini ikkita hamkor ham tan olishi kerak.
Men aytmoqchi bo'lganim, agar 3+1 da so'nggi 1 yil yoki oradagi 1 yil o'qishdi xorijiy hamkor onlayn tarzda talaba shu yerda O'zbekistonda ota-onasining yonida universitetda o'tirib o'qiydi. Agar shu taqdirda 1 yillik o'qishi onlayn o'qitilgan bo'lsa, 3 yil bizda o'qidi deylik, jahon tillarida. Shu diplomlarimiz tan olinadimi, yo'qmi?
Shunga aytyapman-da, xorijiy hamkoriz tan olsa biz tan olamiz deyapman-da.
Aha, bo'ldi.
Xorijiy hamkoriz tan olmasa biz qanday tan olishimiz mumkin degan masalani qo'yapman. Keyin ba'zida Koreyada milliy qonunchiligi bor. Unga ko'ra, agarda Koreyada bor bu ta'limni bir qismini o'tmagan bo'lsa, o'z diplom bermaydi ular. Ertaga sizda muammo chiqadi keyin. Shuning uchun siz hamkor bilan ishlashingiz kerak edi bu borada. Agar hamkor tan olaman degan bo'lsa, marhamat.
Yaxshi, rahmat.
Katta rahmat. Demak, bir qancha masalalarni ko'rib chiqdik. Men shu yerda eslatib o'tmoqchi edim, iltimos qilmoqchi edim ishtirokchilarimizdan mana yana bugungi seminarimizni baholash uchun so'rovnomaga link chatda keltirilgan. 2-3 minut vaqtingizni ayamasdan iltimos mana shu so'rovnomaga o'z fikrlaringizni bildirsangiz, biz keyingi ishlarimizga juda ham samarasini oshirishda hissa qo'shgan bo'lardingiz. Va shu o'rinda eslatib o'tmoqchiman, navbatdagi TAM seminarimiz demak ta'lim sifatini boshqarish va uni oshirishga qaratilgan bo'ladi. Biz hozirgi kunda yana yevropalik ekspertlarimizdan taklif kutyapmiz. Kuni va ekspertimiz aniq bo'lganda e'lon qilamiz. O'ylaymanki, ushbu rejalangan tadbirimiz ham juda ham muvaffaqiyatli bo'ladi. Hozir agar Annika xonimda bironta fikr bo'ladigan bo'lsa, savol yoki aniqlik kiritish bo'ladigan bo'lsa, marhamat.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I had 3 points. I thought, first of all, that it seems that this TAM has been very timely because you have many challenges and questions to discuss among each other. So I am also grateful for being part of that, and now also hearing again new aspects of joint programs also for myself to think about as challenges. And secondly, I was thinking about this particular challenge maybe that you have with the tuition fees and the situation that it seems that your government wishes to increase competences within specific subject fields that are needed in a national context. So maybe even the Ministry of Education should get in touch with other ministries of health or those particular areas where you want to increase your national competence, and maybe ask them for scholarships or something. I mean, this is just a wild idea, and of course you can continue on that. And I think finally and most importantly is that I believe that the COVID pandemic will influence the models and structures of joint programs. Because basically what we are looking for is flexible learning paths where students can access competencies of other institutions. And I think that this will become more and more flexible in terms of virtual mobility. So that could also be an interesting topic for you for coming TAM seminars. So virtual mobility, and also thinking about these girls who don't get permission to leave. And also the guest lecturing by staff from other universities and online teaching. So I think now with the pandemic, we have to accept the fact that physical mobility will not be as easy as before. It will never be as easy as it was before. So I think that also national regulations have to be, start moving a little bit and becoming more flexible. So I think that was just my final words, and thank you so much for spending these 2 mornings thank you for spending them all together and with me, and I'm very grateful for that, and for also the time of everybody from the ministries and state inspectorates and also colleagues at NEO. Thank you so much for all the arrangements. And I wish you good luck with your joint programs and developing them and increasing attractiveness and quality. So thank you, and I hope to see you one day somewhere.
Katta rahmat Annika xonim. Demak, bu juda ham to'g'ri. Bu masala hali ancha ko'p ustida ishlash talab qiladi. Demak, tadbirimizni yakunida Ayza Karimlarga so'z bermoqchiman. o'zlarining fikrlari bilan o'rtoqlashsalar va shundan keyin o'z yig'ilishimizni yakunini yasaymiz. Katta rahmat. Marhamat Aziz Karimov.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli seminar qatnashchilari. Good morning already, good afternoon. I would like first of all to thank Annika for her commitment to undertake to organize this seminar online. But actually we planned several times that it should be offline, and it was last March 2020 that you should come to Uzbekistan. But still hope that we will organize the next seminar. Why? Because the topic is relevant, and I think we will have the seminar at more advanced level, having considered the enhanced experience of our universities for organization, for implementation of joint degrees, joint programs as well. Looking forward for the adoption of the specific governmental decree related to the joint programs. I think everybody is looking forward for this, for adopting such a document. So I think it's my personal point of view that the seminar was very content rich, quite relevant, again, because the topic is relevant to the current modernization agenda of our higher education system, current reforms, and we really enjoying the so many positive changes in our higher education system, and more autonomy coming to our university. And I'm really appreciate the contribution of our ministry and representatives and the inspectorate representative. Without them, we did not reach such a great content of the seminar. It's a very huge gratitude should come to Abduvali Jonzokovich Khalikov, to the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education, to his colleague Sanjar Adizov, who made contribution by the end of the seminar, and a very special thanks to Aslidzin Ahmadjanovich Odilov for his contribution, and first of all for his very flexible way and opinion, transparent. He is really open-minded man, and I hope that thanks to both ministry representative and inspectorate representative, we will have great future for our students. The students are looking forward for the many opportunities. And again, I think that Annika, you are quite right telling about the flexibility. The flexibility should come and should go to all further activities, to all further reforms in the field of higher education system. Maybe some words about the contribution of Erasmus Plus to the development of joint programs. I think without the Erasmus Plus contribution, we did not have such a good joint programs. Around 23 existing joint programs that are actually as a follow-up of previous Tempus or Erasmus Plus partnership. So the people, they knew each other, they established a good relationship, they knew the procedures, and by the end, they decided to develop the joint degrees. And I know that by the next year, we will have more joint programs based on the partnership established by Tempus or by Erasmus Plus. It's also thanks should go to our participants for their proactive participation, for their active role. They participated in the evaluation, and by the way, we had a very good evaluation yesterday. So the people appreciated the session yesterday's session and the presentation by Annika, as well as the presentation of speakers. And concluding, our thanks to our team of interpreters, but they are not only interpreters. Jahangir here technically supported us to organize this seminar. Thanks a lot to Jahangir, to Evgenia, and we are looking forward to the next seminar. Thank you, everybody.
Katta rahmat Aziza Karimovna. Barcha ishtirokchilarga rahmat. Biz taqdimotchilardan iltimos qilamiz. Menga o'zlarini oxirgi taqdimotlarini yuborishsa, ularni tez orada o'z veb-saytimizda joylashtiramiz va barcha ishtirokchilar undan foydalanishlari mumkin bo'ladi. E'tiborlar uchun katta rahmat. Hamma salomat bo'ling.
Rahmat, sog' bo'ling.
Rahmat.